Hello out there, and welcome back to another episode of Is God the A-hole? Questions up for debate, apparently. But we've had a brilliant time here. We're into Genesis 11, which is fantastic. I hope you're doing very well. Welcome to all of the assorted and all of those heathens out there, all of those assorted goat herders. Yeah, as we're talking about, we're getting into a certain tower, a very famous tower, a very famous and bewildering tower. But if you want to, smack on that like, smack on that subscribe, and help me out. Someone's got to help me. I did want to point out, I got the best feedback. I do want to go through it. I think it was lovely. It was so endearing and so. I just felt great after it. So I really wanted to point this out. Let me share my screen while I go through some of the wonderful feedback I've gotten from this particular person. I'll see if I can't. Yeah, okay. Hang on a second. The definition of stupid is when an idiot jester, a deceptive clown, entertains the beasts of the field. The beasts of the field. Well, he reads the Bible to a thirsty audience through a secular lens. Yes, and so I replied with, no, stupid is actually some cultists getting angry at another person because they don't believe your imaginary friend is real. This was hilarious to me, and like you can see, I actually know that I comes before E in most instances. I believe the rule is I before E, except after C, except when the sound is A, and there are exceptions, like neither and either, and other stuff. There's definitely exceptions to that. But that is not how you spell field, and it's not how you spell audience. So I found that hilarious. The spelling hurts my eyes. Yes, Ember. The spelling... Yes, it hurt my eyes as well. It hurt my eyes as well. That was hilarious. I love it. Keep sending them in. That is great. That is fantastic. I'm all aboard. I'm all aboard that one. All aboard that one. Hilarious. I do have my coffee here. I'm so glad you can join me. I do have to do something straight off, and no, it is not convert. It is definitely something else. Let me get my screen up here because I want to give out some readerships because I haven't this month. And I mean, damn, it's running so fast. It's like the 11th. Yeah, wow. It may be the 10th for you, but the 11th for me. So I'm a third of the way through the month and I haven't given out anything. So yeah, yeah, I don't know. I presume that's not a bot, or else that the bot is did not have its it didn't have its spelling programming put in. It didn't have its spelling programming. It needs it. All right, here we go. Ready, bang, bang, bang. Let's go. Woohoo! Okay, we have got Oranges, J-Berg, Hannah, McTime, left-handed, Jedi. Oh, that's a member. Look, how did you slip that in there? Jedi, you slipped your member comment in there. Just you slipped it in. All right. Well, you're going to give me warning if you're going to slip a comment in like that. Damn. That is amazing. Thank you so much. I'll just finish. And Sarah Quell. And I managed to hit my wife with a readership. That is some awesome stuff. Enjoy, baby. Enjoy. Left-handed Jedi member for 25 months says over 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. That is incredible. Thank you so much, Left-handed Jedi. That is absolute. You are a champ. You're a scholar and a saint. and your penis weighs a pound. It's just forced it in there. Look, it's getting very sexual in here. I gotta say, I'm sure we'll go to the Bible and lower that sexuality. You would think so from the good book, but you may be wrong. You may be wrong. Yeah, Probin, I'm right there with you, mate. Wonderful coffee. I really feel it. I feel it. There are rumors I'm going to do a fundraiser later this week. Correct. It's like in about a week, I think. I agreed to. Very happy to do so. I think it's for one of the community who has been stalwart and wonderful. And I didn't get any kind of advertisement package, but it is on AJ's channel, Ways to Humans. So I'm just going to go over there for a second. Oh, I got a message. I was asleep. I'm sorry. So that is. Oh, I do have a stream link. Woohoo! Okay, fantastic. All right. So that is on my Valentine's Day. So I can't stay long, but I don't think the sort of things are long. It's a Valentine's Day fundraiser, which is just on surface level fantastic. Okay, you beat me to it. I was just about to put that in. Thank you, Ember. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah. All right, fantastic. Fantastic. All right, and so first off, I think I've gone through all of the stuff. I think I've done all of the stuff that I need to do this morning. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. We're going to get into the Bible, because the Bible, I saw which verses it was, and you are helpful, Ember. I saw which verses it was, and just it's gonna get crazy from here on in. Like, if you thought the like Genesis creation stories are crazy, the how humans came to be organized, how they are organized stories are even more crazy. And as you go through, it really gets absurd. Absolutely absurd. So first off the bat, we have Genesis 11. And I know you all have a Bible in your back pocket, or your breast pocket, close to your heart at all times, so the word of the Lord can pacify you into being a good person, because everyone knows that without Christianity, atheists can't be good people, right? Like, you just can't be. Everybody knows that. Everybody. And I do have to mention, I got on YouTube this morning, and okay, it made me laugh so much. Like, our good friend Dodgy Donny Deals, Dodgy Donny, he's got a short saying, oh, if you're an atheist, you won't be after watching this, because I'm going to prove God with the first and second laws of thermodynamics. It really is getting absurd. Like, it really is. I laughed my ass off. Good watch. Like, seriously, if you can find it, like, Donnie's short on what'll convert you to be an atheist, it's hilarious. Like, really. I honestly, I suggest this for people. If you need a good laugh, I think we all do these days, seeing Donnie use the first and second laws of thermodynamics is absolutely hilarious. I gotta say, it's absolutely hilarious. Oh yeah, we're the evil ones. Yeah, no, I doubt. I think that the and it's really weird how the young Earth creationists who were supporting a certain president and pushing for this guy is now, still calling the atheists evil, which is, yeah. Look, there's evil atheists out there. I mean, Lawrence Krauss is out there being genuinely evil. Dawkins is out there being genuinely evil. I don't doubt there is, but I think that there's religious people out there being genuinely evil. So, I think it's a bit of a wash. I think that you get evil people. Just saying. But today we're not judging Christians. No. We are judging Yahweh, because Yahweh has done a post. Am I the asshole? For Yahweh, am I the arsehole for confusing everyone's language and scattering them after they tried to build a big tower? Yeah, probably. Yes, almost certainly. Absolutely, yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm stuffed. I just went to a community. Oh, that's nice. A community dinner at church down the street. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, look. Hey, look. If churches are helping the community, I'm right on board. It's just, a lot of churches don't. A lot of churches don't. And look, I get this may make like Christians really, really mad, but um, I think that your ideas and your religion is not above mocking. Like they will happily mock, Muhammad and Buddha and other religions. It's just their religion that they don't want mocked. So if you're ever in a position of, um, I will mock others, but I don't want to be mocked. You've got a problem. I'm sorry, that's a problem. That's a real problem. I'm sorry, it is. You can't expect to make fun of people and people not to make fun of you. That is not cool. Now, I totally get if it's sort of really prejudicial, but this isn't. This is just light-hearted fun. I don't think Yahweh's a real person. It's not real. It's an imaginary person. If Yahweh has a problem, Yahweh can come and talk to me. And if I hurt Yahweh, look, if God is real and I hurt God's feelings, then I'll certainly apologize to God. But I'm not going to apologize to someone on God's behalf when they haven't raised the issue with me. Look, here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do. If God doesn't want me to make fun of him, simply ask me to stop. That's all. Like, personally, just shoot an email, whatever, ask me to stop. If he shows up and asks me to stop, I'll stop. But certainly, he hasn't asked me to stop yet. So all I can assume is he's fine with it. He's absolutely fine with it. So for a background, a big reset has happened. Yeah, we don't talk about the big reset, right? That was the drowning everybody. Yeah, that big reset. Yes, yes. The big reset, yeah. The I'm going to drown humanity because I can't see the point in any of them, except for these 8 people. The big reset had happened. Well, that's an interesting way to say I drowned everybody. And everyone spoke the same language, used the same words, and understood each other perfectly. How does that work? I don't understand that. Like, we know how languages develop. I don't... It's kind of weird that they spread out on the land and language wouldn't develop naturally. This is kind of the weird thing about the Bible. It has these, it raises these questions. Well, why do people speak different languages? And then it gives the most absurd answer, like the stupidest answer, the dumbest answer, like, ever. It basically says, hey, this is why. And, anybody that you say, hey, the Bible's mythology, and they go, no, it's a real account of what happened. It's like, yeah, we know that people spreading out and, going to different, we know that languages diversify over time. It's why Latin turned into Spanish, French, what's the other Romantic language? There was another, Italian, right? Like, we know that they split up. We know how languages develop, and a tower is not involved. Trust me. People migrated left and right all over the place. Soon they settled together on a plain and decided to establish a permanent city. On the surface, that sounds fine. The problem was what came next. They started talking about building a city with a tower that reached the heavens. Yes, the Bible does say that. Yes. And I don't know the mental gymnastics as a Christian you have to do to say, yeah, you can build a tower to heaven. Like, here's the thing. This is from when people thought that God lived in the sky above them. So they thought that, hey, tower to heaven seems completely reasonable. Now the tower doesn't, like, God isn't in the sky. Heaven isn't in the sky. We've been up there. We've flown planes. SpaceX has gone up there. Heaven's not up there. We know that that you cannot build a tower and get to heaven, because if so, there would have been a lot of mid-air collisions with angels. We know that's not possible, right? So they have to do some awesome gymnastics to make this work. They wanted to make a name for themselves and avoid being scattered across the earth. Well, I mean, that sounds okay. Yeah. That sounds like a thing that humans do. Yes, we centralize, we urbanize. Yes, we generally build cities, metropolises, if you will, and we definitely do that, sure. This directly pushed against the idea of spreading out and filling the world, which I had been quite explicit in telling them to do so. Okay, well, why can't you do both? Why can't you do both? I don't know. I don't know. It's very strange. Like, usually, yes, we urbanize, but, we still do spread out. So I went down to see what they were doing. Yeah, and this is the weird part of the verse, and I'll just get the verse up. It literally says that God went down to see what they were doing. And, okay, I don't know if you know this. But a omnipresent, omniscient God should not have to go anywhere or do anything. Yeah, but the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. You gotta ask why? Right? Not because I didn't know, but because proximity matters for some reason. Yeah, the omniscient God who knows everything said, what are those humans doing? Let's go down and see what they're doing. I don't know why. It is so bewildering that God, in the Old Testament, God kind of doesn't know where people are. He doesn't see what people are doing. He's quite surprised when things happen. It's just, if you read the Bible with the sort of tri-omni God in mind, you're quite surprised at the things that God does that he doesn't need to do, but seems to be doing them constantly all the time. It's weird, right? More mental gymnastics incoming. What I saw wasn't humans spreading out and multiplying, but rather they were working together. Oh no! I assumed that if people could communicate without problems and work together, then they were capable of anything. Yes, that is why God got angry. Because he literally said, the Lord said, is as if one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan will be impossible for them. So basically, this is the worst case of tall poppy syndrome I have ever seen in my entire life. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar, tall poppy syndrome is the idea that if poppies grow too tall, they're cut off, right? They're basically cut off to make sure they grow at the same height. So it's the idea of cutting down people that have success. So, this is, well, they might be really good at what they do. I'm going to cut them down. I mean, I'm glad this is just mythology, but, it shows that God is basically like, oh, they have potential. Better stop that. I mean, this is supposed to be sort of a father figure to the people and their chosen people. And he's basically going, well, if my child succeeds too much, I will crush them. I don't want them to succeed. I don't want them to be the best people they can be. I want them to be confused and upset and not be able to work together. I decided to intervene by confusing their language. Suddenly, they couldn't understand each other. Communication broke down, collaboration stalled, and the project stopped. As a result, people spread out across the earth and could not understand one another, which prevented them from completing the project, and the city was left unfinished. Yes, if you've got problems with urbanization, just confuse languages. People really struggle with this part. Some say I overreacted to what was just a building project. Others argue that interfering with language... You know what? And it's kind of weird, right? Like, it's kind of strange that God is, like, confusing languages because, you don't want people to all have the same language. Yet today, they're like, oh, that guy in the halftime show for my favorite sports ball spoke Spanish. How dare they? That's completely un-American. Speaking a different language than the language that the original people, no, not the original people, the people that first came to the land were speaking. Everyone should speak the same language. And the Tower of Babel is a great story. I don't know how they sort of, you know, how do you figure those things together? Like, God wants you all to speak different languages, but if someone speaks a different language in your country, you lose your crap. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you square that away, biblical people. I don't know. I have no idea. It's weird to me. Okay. Some say I overreacted to what was just a building project. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Others argue that interfering with language and culture was cruel or unnecessary. Probably. Look, I'm glad this is just mythology because, holy crap, it would be a horrible thing to do. A few insist that unity should always be protected. Yeah, yeah. No matter what it's built around. Others think scattering people was the opposite of progress. And we have Super Chat from Left-Handed Jedi. Thank you, Jedi. When I was a kid, I thought the tower was a starship. God stopped them since they were about to abandon the planet. I mean, it's an interesting take. I totally would. I would believe that over some sort of tower to heaven. And when you say that, it reminds me of Stargate, right? When he, like, if you've seen the movie Stargate, he's doing a translation of Egyptian cartouches, like, which is the symbols, and he translated, one of the translations is like gateway to heaven, and he translates it into Stargate, and that's, oh, they said the name of the film kind of thing, like, yeah. So he was correcting their translation, and what they thought was doorway, gateway to heaven, he corrects as Stargate. Oh, title of the film. That's cool. Yeah, no, I would believe that over. They were literally building a tower to heaven, right? Like a tower that reached the afterlife, because we don't have, the afterlife is not in the sky above us. I can confidently say that. I can confidently say that, because I have flown on a plane and I did not see any angels. I didn't see any people bowing down saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord." I didn't see any of that. It was clouds and sky all the way up. I did not see any of that. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Get what I'm saying? Problem with the story in chapter 10, languages already exist, do they? I don't think they do. Maybe you're right. Let me have a look at Genesis 10. All right. Actually, I'll do it after I go through. After that, life kept moving. Generations continued through Shem's line. Names passed down, families formed, and history narrowed towards one particular family that would matter later. I didn't really pay attention to the others. Yeah. I would say that Yahweh absolutely laser focused on Abraham and didn't really care about anybody else. It's pretty focused there. Now, some atheists have come forward saying I was horrible. Yeah, me included. Some say I should have let the people succeed. Others think confusing languages cause incredible misunderstandings and confusion. A few argue that human ambition should never be restrained, no matter the motive behind it. Yeah, no, I kind of agree. If you're like just fucking with humanity because you don't like how they're succeeding, I mean, it kind of makes you a bit of a monster, to be honest with you. I see a God as being able to do a million things better than confusing languages. You know what I mean? I think that a omniscient, omnipotent God has an infinite things he could have done better than just make everybody not understand each other. From where I stand, scattering humanity didn't actually destroy humanity, and they could still multiply on the Earth. I can't have the humans work together to do literally anything. Am I the arsehole here? And I will get the poll up. Let's see. And this is where we sort of talk about perspective. Was God right for confusing language to stop a building project? Where is my thing? Let's copy and paste them in. Don't worry, I'll have your poll ready soon. Just you're all too impatient. You're all too, and you know I'm impatient. I get you. I get you. I'm impatient too. All right, start poll. Start poll. All right, feel free to vote. Feel free to put down some stuff. I will go through the comments. What do I think? I think that seriously, this is mythology. It is, hey, people speak different languages. How did that happen? Well, it really is a sort of one of those mythological stories of why people speak different languages than a people that don't understand how languages diversify over time. And the whole idea that you can build a tower to heaven, you can, have some sort of bridge to the afterlife. That's how it happened. Look, events could have been real in it. There could have been people building a city and the project didn't complete and it became mythologized. That's why everyone speaks different languages. But that is not how languages work. Languages always diversify. They always get different. The United States hasn't been around for that long, but we do have regional dialects and we do have words that are only used in different regions, for instance. So, this is what language does. It doesn't need a magical event in order to, it will just do that naturally over time. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see what we got. I'm just going to go through the comments. I want to comment on them. You have one of those big old family Bibs. Of course I carry it in my pocket. I had to get a pocket expand to cover my entire chest, though. Well, as long as it'll stop a bullet, you're fine. I've seen action films. Donnie can't science. No, that is an understatement of the century. Like, seriously, trying to use the first and second laws of thermodynamics to prove God is kind of really, really, really dumb. It's really dumb. People are gonna people, indeed. Evil does not exist, certainly not by itself. Yeah, I think evil acts exist. I don't think anything's inherently evil or inherently bad. I think it is all just the acts are intentionally harmful. I didn't spend 6 years at evil doctor school to be called Mr. Thank you very much. I got to work on my Dr. Evil impersonation because, we're all evil. Portuguese, thank you. Yes. And then Portuguese got taken over to Brazil. So they speak Portuguese in Brazil, but it is it has a significant difference to the Portuguese back in Portugal. Like this is how languages work. We know this, that languages get carried places and then they diversify. That is what happens. It seems to be an inherent feature of communication that it does, the languages evolve into something else. God was stopped at the border and reported to ICE after they roughed him up a bit. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Look, his name shouldn't have been Jesus, okay? It's just you're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. I wonder if the guy at the top reached up and tickled God's feet. Well, they didn't make it, so I mean that might have been the intention. That might have been the intention. Stairways are a superior solution, yes. Especially if you can buy the stairway to heaven, yes. Thank you, Ember. Jake says, God was terrified the tower would reach him, or was it just a tall tower with bad foundations and it fell and no steel being used? Maybe terrorists flew an angel into the tower. Too soon? Is that too soon? I'm sorry if it's too soon. Maybe terrorists drove an angel into... Look, angel wings can't melt steel beams, all right? Just saying. Running into the Silver City would be tragic. The Silver City is supposed to be like the city in heaven kind of thing. Okay, he's trying to buy a stairway to heaven. Yeah. Well, they weren't trying to buy it. They were trying to construct it. So, yeah. Look, they were doing it the hard way. They should have just bought the stairway to heaven. Yeah. Kids in South Park build a tower like that too. Great. It's no different than God going ahead of the Israelites to find somewhere to camp as he has no clue, being omniscient. Yeah, absolutely. Like all throughout the Old Testament, there's a lot of people hiding from God, or, you know, God being unaware that they're there or surprised at them being there. It's kind of weird how God acts. Like for a triomni God, an omniscient God, he acts like he doesn't know things for some reason. I don't know why, Jake. It's kind of like maybe God's a one-man clown show, you know, like he already knows, but, you know, you got to do the pantomime thing. Like, if you're unaware of pantomime, it's like a play with audience participation. It's like, where did my horse go? And the crowd yells, it's behind you, God. Oh, yes, there it is. Like, it's just, maybe it is a panto. This is the third time Mr. All-Powerful has shown fear of humans. Yeah. I mean, you could argue that, hey, he thinks, like, you know, going to heaven is bad for them. Or, you know, maybe he doesn't want, you know, smelly humans in his perfect heaven. But yeah, the kind of way that it's worded, that, oh, they'll be able to do anything. It's like, what is so bad about that? Is that bad? Don't worry, next retranslation, they'll change that to PC for that time. I'm not sure what that means. To something politically correct for that time. Problem is, yeah, and this was interesting. So I want to go back and give me 1 second. I'll go back a chapter, because that's interesting. So you're talking about the place where it's referencing Ham. Everyone likes Ham. Where was it? You had another thing. By those of the Isles of the Gentiles. Yeah, Sons of Ham, Genesis 10:20. Thank you, Jake. That's interesting. 10:20. Yeah, so sons of Cush. Egypt was the father of the Luddites, the Anamites, the Lebahanites, the Naphtalites. Canaan was the father of Sidon, his firstborn. Okay, so the sons of Ham. Yeah, so it basically says, hang on, I'll share this tab. Sorry for the bright light. I don't think I can turn this onto dark mode. I really should figure out how. So Canaan was the father of Sidon, the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites. Yeah, a lot of them get unalighted. Hivites, Archites, Sinites, Adavites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. Later, the Canaanite clans scattered, and the borders of Canaan reached down from Sidon toward Gerar as far as Gaza, and then towards Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham by their clans and languages in their territories and nations. So, here's the thing. I believe that, I mean, we're talking at the moment of before Abram, right? Like or Abraham. I believe that Abraham's father, I think, was Tubal. I believe was Tubal. Let me check that. I don't want to be biblically inaccurate. Who was Abraham's father? No, it was Terah. He was a descendant of Shem and lived in Ur. Okay. So of course it was a descendant of Shem, yeah. Yeah, so where does Abraham how does Abraham trace back to Adam? Okay, so Noah, Shem. Okay, so it was Shem, then Arpachshad. So Arpachshad and Aram. I'm not sure why it follows Aram. Arpachshad. Sheila. Oh, so it goes Sheila and then Eber. Two sons were born to Eber. Peleg is, yes, that's the line of Abram. So it only goes to Peleg. So I don't know, however, in which ancestor lived during the time of the Tower of Babel. Of Abram lived during Tower of Babel. So that occurred around the time of Peleg, right? So you can make the kind of inference, right, that these sons of Ham, like the ones further down, when you trace it further down, are past the time of the Tower of Babel, right? So because the and I kind of I sort of knew this. I'm really refreshing my memory on this thing, that because it was Peleg, and then you have sort of it stops there. That it could be said that, hey, later the Canaanite clans scattered, right? Like, so the sons of Ham, the Hamites, the Canaanite clans were scattered at the Tower of Babel, kind of thing. That's when they scattered. Footnote 19. Yeah, and the borders of Cam. Yeah, there's some Ham in their territories and nations. But yeah, it is interesting that it sort of says, hey, these are the sons of Ham in their nations, which sort of, says that Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan were the sons of Ham in their things. But I think it's sort of the translation is more descendants of Ham by their clans and nations. And I think that they sort of say, hey, it's referring to when after they scattered. But it kind of is an interesting thing that if you're going to say, hey, these are the sons of Ham in the passage before, it's kind of a weird narrative, and it shows that it is, in fact, mythology, because it is much more likely that, we had this ancestor, he had sons who had sons who had sons, and the languages just naturally became different, because that's what happens with languages. Like I said, America hasn't been around for a very long, few hundred years. It already has different dialects, and somebody who lives in the deep bayou kind of thing will have terms and phrases that aren't necessarily understood by everybody in the country. Just saying, especially when you have isolations of populations, right? When populations isolate, they will develop their own words and develop their own languages. We know this already. This is very, very straightforward. We know how languages evolve. So, which is more likely? So, I will grant you, I will grant you that it's sort of at a face value, it kind of does say that the languages already exist. I think the apologetics for it are that, hey, it's talking about the end result of the Sons of Ham, their clans and their languages, not the start. But, like all apologetics, it seems kind of weird and does seem to be a excuse for a contradiction not taking place. I agree with you. I do. This week craziness. Oh yeah, look, this week has been crazy. Stop the stupidity. I'm right on board, mate. It's great to see you, but hey, I think, to say that the world is in shock is an understatement. I cannot believe everything that has happened lately, and I think that most of it is regarding certain files that have come out recently that I've looked through. I've done, searches through it, and it is wild. It is far wilder than you can imagine. It is crazy. I don't know. I felt down. I felt like I don't know where to go from here. So if you're looking for me to tell you what to do about the craziness, you're in the wrong place, buddy. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that this cannot be unresolved. There has to be a resolution for this craziness. There has to be an end to it, because we cannot ignore it. Hello, Sith. Good to see you, mate. It's always good. It's good to see you all. You're right. It's been a madhouse of a week, and all I can say is it's so good to see you all, because if you feel crazy, and I said this before, but even more so after this stuff, more and more of it keeps coming out. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Just more and more and more stuff just keeps coming out. If you're feeling like you are utterly insane, you are fine. Okay, you're fine. An insane reaction to this would be to go, nah, that's fine. Everything's all right. Everything's normal. That's absolutely normal. It's all fine. That would be an insane reaction to what has happened. Okay, feeling like this is crazy and you're going mental. I think that's a completely normal reaction to a situation that is just insane, right? Just insane. Maybe the tower part was a mistranslation. It was a hole. They were going to the underworld, and God did not want them to discover he is actually the devil. Maybe that would be a hell of a mistranslation, though, because I don't know how you can confuse a tower with a hole. Look, I don't know. If that was the case, because the Russians, they dug a deep hole. It's like the deepest hole on Earth. It's like this massive hole, and they basically got down to the point where their equipment was essentially melting, right? So they wanted to see how deep they could get a hole, and they found out, oh, it'd be hot down there. So I don't know why a god would have to confuse languages, because presumably these sort of Bronze Age, Iron Age people probably wouldn't be able to drill as deep as the Russians. I don't know. I and my mate used to try to stay around the 500-foot minimum minute. We didn't want to hit the dome. Yeah. Fair enough. Nah, we're both scared of heights. Drixer, that sounds for a couple of guys who love flying. Look, there is a case to be made that, there can be good pilots that fear heights. It makes you careful. look, it's important to understand that a lot of sailors back in the days of tall ships couldn't swim, right? Like, I can't remember what that was in. I think it was in like Interstellar or something, sort of saying, hey, just because you fear space doesn't mean you can't be in it, right? Like, it may actually be good to have a healthy respect for the thing that you are going through. Just saying. Anyway, it's not heights that kill you, it's the sudden stop at the end. Can you vote for anything other than God being the arsehole there? Well, I mean, there are apologetics regarding it. So yes, apparently you can. Apparently people can like sort of rationalize almost anything. And I know this firsthand because I used to be addicted to smoking and I would rationalize it, right? We can go, hey, I know that smoking's bad for me. I know that it doesn't give me any kind of benefit and it's all negatives, but it's a social thing, or hey, it allows me to talk to people, or it makes me look cool. I didn't think that. I just thought, like it's something you can stand around with people. It's kind of an icebreaker is my rationalization. We can rationalize all kinds of things. If you look at what the Germans did in World War II, they had these rationalizations. You look at people that still support Trump, they rationalize it. So between what God did at the Tower of Babel and what Trump's doing now, I think the greater rationalization is what Trump's doing now. It's crazy. Oh, it does say for Shem, does it? Okay. Let's see. Sons of Shem. I don't want to leave this uncovered because, yeah. Clans of Noah. Yeah, clans and languages in their territory. Yeah, it doesn't say they... Yeah, because in his time the earth was divided. That's where the Tower of Babel occurred. Okay, that's because Peleg is the one where the Tower of Babel sort of happened. So, by their clans and languages, is it talking about like these sons of Shem, or is it talking about the descendants of Shem at the time of Peleg? We don't know. But it is a good point. It is definitely a good point. I will pay that. I will 100% pay that. Jake, I will pay that. Everybody is a plausible choice. Yeah, yep. Worst at unifying humans ever. Yeah, which is strange for a parent. Like they'll say, hey, a parent's got to discipline their child and a parent's got to do this. What parent limits the potential of their child? It's very strange, right? You want to encourage your child and not limit their potential. Confuse them so they don't reach their full potential seems like a really bad thing for a parent to do. You would hope that a parent would encourage their child while guiding them in the right direction. Like just sort of confusing them so they will sort of turn against one another seems like a really dickish thing to do. And hey, look, there was a suggestion that we have one universal language. That was floated. It was called Esperanto. It was called Esperanto. It was based upon Spanish, simply because Spanish is a really easy language to learn. A lot of people know it already. Thanks, conquistadors. A lot of people know Spanish already, and it's very, very easy. It's one of the easiest languages you can learn. English is hard. Trust me, it is hard. I have spent time with people trying to learn English as a second language, and some of it makes no sense whatsoever. English is actually a difficult language compared to Spanish. So they proposed Esperanto, which was kind of a mix, just trying to make it as easy as possible. I thought it was a fantastic idea, and I did not learn that language. I probably should have. It was a great idea. I did not learn a language. I don't know a second language. I admire people that do. I don't. And I like that people can speak other languages in my country. I don't know why anyone would be angry that someone speaks Spanish in their country. It's crazy. It's crazy. So you can't understand them, but they speak English as well. Shouldn't you say, hey, it's great that, hey, this person can speak to someone in Mexico without a problem. I don't understand why they're so angry. That is why we have proto-language that evolved into these we have today. Absolutely. And it will continue to divide as long as you get that sort of isolation. So, I remember seeing something recently. I believe that my head mod, Titan Uranus, put it up on the Discord. And if you do want to join the Discord, the link is in the chat. He put up something about they're finding a new kind of dialect in the Seattle kind of area. It's this sort of, terms that they use have just spread around. It's very interesting. And they don't really know why. I wonder if the Seattle and the sort of Minneapolis and all of those regions are being influenced by Canadian dialects. And why not American dialects? Well, maybe it's because they like those people more. I don't know. It's very, very strange. But, languages are fascinating. They kind of, the evolution of languages can kind of be compared to the evolution of organisms. It's very interesting. One by land. How you doing? Unless they figured out how to alloy nickel into iron, their tower wasn't more than 100 foot or so. Tall trees are taller. Alloy nickel into iron. Okay. So you're basically talking about, steel is carbon into iron, but they weren't up to the steel age at this point. Like, best they could get is the iron age at this point. I believe that sort of the previous ones were more about the Bronze Age, but this was this was definitely the Iron Age, I believe. Even one passage in Genesis talks about iron chariots, so they did have knowledge of iron. I don't know about nickel. What alloy is that? One by land. Nickel plated iron to iron. What alloy does that make? I've got Google and I'm not afraid to use it. Permalloy or Invar. Nickel for low thermal expansion. Okay. Iron nickel alloys. Permalloy for magnetism or Invar for low thermal expansion. Oh, there you go. I've heard of Invar before, but I didn't really know. Oh. Nickel is a key component added to iron to create austenistic stainless steel. I'm just going to call that autistic stainless steel, providing corrosion resistant and high temperature strength. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Well, whatever they were trying, they didn't have steel, much less like stainless steel. So, howdy, Colorado biker. How you doing? Ham and bacon. Yes. The sons of Cain. Ham and bacon. The sons of Noah. Ham and bacon. Bacon greater than ham? Well, yeah. No, I'll agree with that. Yeah, you got me, Sith. I'll agree. Don't get me wrong. There is definitely a time for ham. There's time for ham, but it definitely bacon can be amazing. That time in the future when they rewrite it. Yeah, absolutely. I get you. Don't forget Demogorgon, brother of Asmodeus. Those are demons, I believe, Jedi. The things. Oh yeah, that's a good point. The British Isles, and it's really interesting. It's the British Isles because it is such a small area with vastly different dialects and all words that they use, and a lot of people in America, you're speaking English and they're speaking English, but due to the dialects, they cannot understand a word that person is saying, like the Cockney accent they have problems with and things like that. It's really fascinating because the UK or Britain in general, let's just stick to Britain, the accents vary so much over such a small space. But it's funny because, I've heard a Cockney accent. The Cockney accent's like the Michael Caine accent, like the how are you doing, governor? Right? And Americans hear that and they go, "Oh, you've got a posh accent," and you're sorry, what? What? Are you joking? To me, that doesn't sound posh, right? That sounds like a Cockney accent. It's very lower class, the area that they come from. Same with the Liverpudlian or the, Lynn does a fantastic accent because that's where her parents are from. I can't remember the name of it. It's it's escaped me. But anyway, these are sort of lower class areas, and you hear the very upper class English accent. Oh, rather, kind of very upper class, and that sounds posh to me. But the Cockney one doesn't. But I've heard Americans say, "Hey, that accent sounds like Michael Caine sounds very posh." No, he doesn't. Like to English people, that's a very lower class accent. So it's really interesting how that's perceived. And, we have the Australian dialects. Like, you can talk in Australian and an American will not understand what you're saying. Like, they will not understand you at all. And I've got a very neutral accent. There's a reason for that. It's sort of because in my work life, as I got into the workforce, I had to speak to a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different countries that had immigrated to Australia. So I had to talk in a very neutral tone that is understood by most English speakers, even if English is your second language. But I mean, I can go full Ocker. Ocker being, slang Australia. Hey, how you doing? Hey, good over. I had went down the pub and got me over a beer, eh? Like, this kind of stuff is pretty Ocker, right? Like, it's hard for people to understand. Probably intentionally so. We don't want you to understand what we're saying. We say nonsense. Stop the stupidity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've got... But I could also do an announcer. I know it's terrible, okay? The cringe factor is off the chart. It's what you're here for. If you don't like the cringe, this is about the cringe. Come on, just enjoy how much of an idiot I'm being. Like, so we get people commenting at how much of an idiot I am. Please do comment. It's fun. It's fun. And those go to X Braden X. Let's just call it Braden. Miss Non Sequitur. Wow, I almost killed myself on that one. Mrs. Non Sequitur, fantastic lass. She is awesome. We all love Miss Non Sequitur. Greg Nitsky and John Shin 4864. Yes. Thank you, Mark. This is because a nice break from real life. Yeah, let's just get together, have a laugh, light-hearted stuff, nothing serious here. Well, not much serious. Look, I will occasionally say stuff serious, but yeah, it's being with your community and saying, hey, it feels crazy. We all feel like we're going insane. Being together means it's not insanity. It is something. And, I think the more that we talk about it and say, hey, this feels insane, the more people are allowed and given permission to go, yeah, I feel insane as well. Like, I feel like this is insanity, right? And I think that's important, because I think that a lot of people are going, well, do I say anything? Somebody compared it to, the family drama where, Uncle Alan does something absolutely unforgivable and the rest of the family just aren't talking about it. They basically gone, oh, we'll send him off to the cottage. Don't talk about it. We're not going to discuss this. And I think we need to give ourselves permission to discuss it and face the thing that has happened and say, hey, this is not okay. I'm not okay with this. I am not okay with this. And give yourself permission to be able to articulate that and how it makes you feel. And I think that's important because, just turning away from it is essentially suppressing emotions. We're just pushing it down. But it's good to stop and have a laugh at stuff that really this stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I suspect we're in space right now, but technically you're not wrong. Technically, you're not wrong. We occupy space-time. Yes, technically, yes. Jake says, confusing that language didn't accomplish anything. We have translation devices. We have gone higher than any building built. Aircraft, ISS, the moon. Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely agree. You know, like, we don't, you know, and we do have a common language, if you will, right? Across communications, if you're talking about understanding communications, we do have a common language, and that is binary, or mathematics, for instance. It is a common language, right? Like, we do have a common language that everybody understands. So, I mean, I'm a computer guy. I'm not a mathematician. I had to do math as part of sort of, you know, what I did. But anyway, very, very basic math. I did do a bit of calculus, was the, you know, introduction to calculus was the highest that I went. I'm not a math guy, but, you know, something about binary is so beautiful and pure, because binary is just such a, like, philosophically speaking, and look, this is something that's come up while I can't sleep at 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, like I'm sitting in bed just thinking, and binary is so beautiful because it just encapsulates either something exists or doesn't exist. Like that binary state of affairs that is foundational to the universe. Something either is or it isn't. You know, like there's only really two states. And don't get into quantum stuff. As I said, I'm not a mathematician, so I don't understand any of that physicist stuff. I understand like what quantum physics is. I could not do quantum physics to save my life. I have to listen to others and sort of take it from them. But I think that binary is really beautiful. It's really wonderful. It's sort of, you know, just that idea that either something exists or something doesn't. It really does reduce. It reduces all numbers to a simple state of being, and that's all. Beautiful. There you go. That's my opinion of binary, philosophically speaking, and incredibly useful as well. But all computers everywhere use binary. When you send a message, it essentially gets to binary, right? There is no message, no information anywhere that is on the internet, that is sent, that is translated by a computer, that is processed by, that is not in binary. That's what it is. It is binary, always. Look, you know, there may be quantum processing where you're using, instead of binary, using quadary, like 4 instead of 2. Maybe. Can't understand it. Yeah, you and me both. Yes, Esperanto. Only scholars and William Shatner actually learnt it. Look, I will pay William Shatner for that, Ember. I will say, hey, yes, because it is a fantastic idea. It is a fantastic idea that I never followed through on. Like, I heard about it and went, oh, that's awesome. You can also say that it was actually in some science fiction books like Red Dwarf. Red Dwarf was originally a book. They speak Esperanto in that. They really thought Esperanto would be the link between peoples. I don't think it would be long before Esperanto formed into dialects and then into different languages. At the moment, we've always had a language that is sort of the default trading language, right? The language that sort of dominates the world because it's what people trade into. You know, and it used to be sort of Portuguese in the past. And it has been at different times, you know, different languages at different times in different places. And I think English is the language that is traded in most because it is an English-speaking nation that has dominated the markets. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. Hey, I just like that exists. I kind of, you know, I mean, William Shatner, is he the best actor? Maybe not. Do I like him? Sometimes. English is 5 languages in a trench coat. You're not wrong. And, you know, I think, so English as a language, it's a stupid language, It has the stupidest rules. Like I was going through at the start of this thing, the I before E rule. It is the dumbest rule. I before E, except after C, except when the sound is A, and here's all these exceptions because they don't fit. But it's a beautiful language. It really is a gorgeous language. It is beautiful. It is hard to learn. It is hard to speak well. It has a lot of cadence, a lot of expressiveness in it, but very, very difficult for people to learn. If have some admiration for people that have English as their second language, and have some patience for people that are learning English. It's a bitch of a language. It really is. But it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, English is messed up German dialect with French infusion. Oh, look, English takes words from everywhere. It really is a chimera of a language. Chimera of a language. He's talking stainless steel. Right, got you. You want to dance? Oh, I like dancing. You can learn Esperanto on Duolingo. Look, I would probably learn Spanish myself. Spanish or Japanese. Japanese is pretty damn easy as well. And I do like anime. So, or some anime. You know, I think some anime is terrible. Some anime is great. Yeah. Because unfortunately for you, Jesus already returned? Question mark? Oh, really? Learn proper Castellano, por favor. Okay, so I presume that's Spanish, because I know that Castel is a thing of Spanish. I would like to learn Spanish. I am terrible at learning new languages. I'm great at English. I'm great at English. I have very, very good vocabulary, if I do say so myself. I'm very good at English. I'm very good at understanding English. I've tried to learn Japanese and I did not do well. We know. Who are you, the Dark Brotherhood? What? It was me that posted the Seattle video. It was an accent, not a dialect. Oh, sorry, Aunt Jer. I do apologize. Yeah, it was Aunt Jer that posted this Seattle video. It was an accent, not a dialect. It's significant because Seattleites, wow. Elon Musk sent up a Seattleite. They think they have no accent. Is that the proper term? That's awesome. I love it. It's like satellites. It's beautiful. Yeah, I get you, but this is how dialects form. You know, they sort of, then you will have words that only, you know, your space uses, and that's how new languages form, you know? So, yeah, like, I get you though, Aunt you? It is just an accent. But it's interesting because I don't think that, you know, if you look back in American history, the dialects, the accents kind of thing, were more uniform. You know, they were less pronounced kind of thing, and really influenced by where people came from. Stop. Ham time. You are being unimagined as we speak. How's that working out for you? Am I unimagined? Have I gone away? Am I having an existential crisis? I'll check. No, I'm being unimagined. Well, I mean, I do admit that I'm getting older and will die someday. Is that what you're talking about? I'm pretty confident that's not you, though. Unimagined. Interesting. How's that working? I don't know what that means. Steel's usually carbon and iron and nickel, but if corrosion is high, you can't figure out how to add nickel. Right, gotcha, One by Land. Gotcha. So it's the anti-corrosive. Got you. Yes. Yep. Okay. You guys know way more about metallurgy than I do. I will tell you that right now. It's funny how y'all have accents, unlike us Americans. Yeah, and that always made me laugh, Sapphire. It always made me laugh when I was in a debate and they're like, oh, listen to your accent. And it's like, to me, you have an accent. You haven't, like, the weirdness of somebody coming from America hassling an accent and thinking that they don't have an accent. You know, so if you really want to, you know, split hairs on it, the correct accent, or the correct accent, because that doesn't exist, is the English, because that's where the language came from. But it's really funny because they think of it as, oh well, I'm American, so you're taking my language and putting your own. And it's like, no, we split off from English in England. Like the Australians went to Australia, the Americans went to America, and their accents became different. It's yeah. In fairness, Americans do not know what posh even means. Oh, okay. So rich means rich. Rich, well educated, basically sophisticated and rich. So I'm not sure if you even have a word for that. Like when a family has, like, because it's not talking about just rich. Because rich just means you have a lot of money, and you could have been, a entrepreneur and got a lot of money. That doesn't mean you're posh. It means you're from like an old family who's, their breeding, their manners are really good. They're very sophisticated kind of thing. They're very well educated and proper and all of that kind of thing. So I don't know if you have a word for that. Do you have any more words you would like to take to the God of War before the end? Yes. Yeah, I do have some words for the God of War. It was an amazing game, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the Greek and North mythology in the God of War. I think it was great. It was fantastic. Um, you know, I thought that like Jesus was a god of peace, though. But who knows? That's I guess it's up to interpretation. Dick Van Dyke's attempt at an accent was the Cockney accent. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. It's kind of one of those things to do. I'm trying to remember the accent that Lynn can put on. Oh, it's a Scouser, a Scousy accent. It's really unique, and she is awesome at it because her parents are from there, so she can just switch it. It's fantastic. Yeah, God of War was a fun game. Which forgot which god. Well, it wasn't actually a god. He was it's sort of one they made up, and he went round sort of killing gods kind of stuff. So he wasn't actually a god from anywhere. Let me look it up. Kratos, yeah, the Greek god of war. Did he exist in mythology? Oh, he did. Personification of strength. He is the son of Pallas and Styx. Yeah, so he wasn't necessarily a god, but he was sort of a demigod in Greek mythology. Maybe he was. Okay. Yeah, so Kratos was the god of war in that game, which was a cool game. I mean, it was a bit quick timey for me, but no, it wasn't bad. Lived with Wisconsin my entire life. I hear someone with a Wisconsin accent, and I'm like, damn, do I sound like that? Hey, look, as far as stupid accents go, the Australian accent is pretty wild. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Just don't go full bogan. Never go full bogan. Look, okay, so I hassle bogans, right? I do hassle bogans, but there's good bogans out there. There's sort of, bogans that are really, really, really good. Really good. There was an interview of the most Australian guy ever, and it was hilarious. Like, it was so good. He was so bogan and awesome. Jesus was already here on Earth, and who are you? I'm Mark Reed. Welcome to my channel. I am a atheist that enjoys debate, and I have a unique perspective from being neurodivergent on morality and the history of the Bible. Who are you? Pleased to meet you. Fucking cringe. Yeah, look. This channel has cringe. All right, just accept it. Jester, you love it. You love it. You love it. Don't argue with me. You love it. Admit it. Admit it. You don't have to go very far back in history before we would not be able to understand. Absolutely, Daryl. Yeah, absolutely. 400 years. Yeah, Old English is almost unrecognizable. Even written, it's hard to understand. Like, much less, with the accent, inflection, dialect, enunciation, it is very, very difficult to understand. The cringe is what we pay for. Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad someone's paying for it. Look, look, I have to deliver. If you're paying for it, I have to deliver. I have a fiduciary responsibility to deliver cringe. I guess you know how your Houses of Parliament were really built. Which Houses of Parliament? Which Houses of Parliament? You mean the one in Canberra? It was designed, like, fairly recently? Are you talking about Canberra? I hope you're talking about Canberra. Are you talking about Congress? Are you trying to imply that slaves built Congress? I mean, Parliament House in Canberra was constructed between 1981 and 1988. So it wasn't that long ago. And it was 10,000 workers excavated 1 million cubic meters of rock, built the structure, and covered it with grass to seamlessly blend the building into the landscape. Isn't that cool? Let me see. Parliament House. Is that a good picture? I'm trying. I'll just search for a good picture so you know. Parliament House, Canberra. Oh, that's at night time. There we go. That's a good picture. That's a good picture. All right, there we go. That's Parliament House in Australia. See? Isn't that sweet? I mean, admittedly, it's not sort of a Roman design like most of the American ones and stuff. It has sort of a minimalist kind of thing, but I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I like the grass over it where people can sit and people can, chill out. It's kind of cool, right? I mean, yeah, it's probably not up there with the White House or anything, but that isn't like the White House, like the Congress, like Houses of Congress, but yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Don't hassle our Parliament. We're trying. We're trying, okay? We're trying. Got the blueprints? Why would I have the blueprints to this? I mean, I could look them up. Yeah, put out tenders and chose the lowest bidder. Yeah, probably, Daryl. That's probably true. I have one, wouldn't ever claim to be the, seems a bit conceited. Do not listen to me? Well, I mean, how do you know not to listen to me unless you listen to me? Aren't you listening to me? Okay, well, I'm Duolingo level 38 and 153 days speaking Spanish. Donde está la biblioteca? Yeah, cool. I hope that was an all right pronunciation, Thea. I will bow to your Duolingo wisdom. Where is the library? Oh, look, I'm not even going to try and pass what that is. Like, seriously, get out of here. He has no understanding of the previous angel. Oh, the previous age. Oh, no understanding. Oh, okay. I don't think the Bible had an understanding of the previous age, quite frankly. No one speaks binary? How dare you? How dare you? Morse code is binary. No, it is not. It isn't. No, Morse code is trinary because you have dots and dashes, but you also have like pauses for stuff. So I think I could be wrong. It could be binary. It could be. I took French in high school. Look, I took French in high school, and all I know how to say is "Hello, my name is Fish." Bonjour, je m'appelle Poisson. That is all I know how to say. Hello, my name is Fish. service at work. Hello, Kelly. I will be appearing on Kelly's show very soon. I will post it in the community and on the Discord server. Kelly wanted to talk to me, and I have never been on to talk to Kelly, and I went, that is a travesty and obnoxious, and absolutely. Didn't the Russians write a trinary computer language? I don't know how they could do that. I think that sort of with the way that binary work, like you might be able to make a computer with one, but you'll just slow communications down because like, make a trinary computer. Yeah, functional ternary computer named Seton. Seton, it was abandoned. Okay. Yeah, apparently they did. Oh, that's interesting. Merci beaucoup. Lord Jesus, it's true. I was here. I'm here every Wednesday just hanging around. You can get wiped out in one thought process of the mind of men. Look, Rusty, man, what's with all the hate? What did I do? What did I do? I did a lot. I did a fair amount. Okay. What did I do? What did I do? Did I mock somebody I shouldn't have mocked? Is that why I'm being wiped? Look, stop saying that I'm going to be wiped out. Like, if you want credibility, predict something that will happen. Like, you know, you will scratch your ass or something. You know, like, seriously, you're really just sort of saying, hey, you're about to be wiped from the minds of the imagination, and it's just, I'm still here. My guy, whatever you're doing, it's not working. Seriously. And it kind of looks a bit weird. I just realized my membership is going to go. Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. A little apology. Well, look, if God is real, I will apologize to God when he shows up. Okay, so if God is real, just get him to say, hey, I don't like what you're doing. And I will say, I'm truly sorry. But, you know, all I've had is people tell me that he's mad. How do you tell? Maybe God's got a sense of humor. Hello, Robin. Chimera. Thank you. Chimera. Thank you. Yes, I always mispronounce that word. And you blame God. No, I don't blame a God. No, absolutely not. Because I don't think the God's real. It'd be like blaming Santa Claus for somebody not getting presents. You know, like it isn't about blaming that thing. Because if I don't think it's real, then I can't blame it for anything. I blame the faulty way that humans anthropomorphize, or they put human things to events and natural things and things that they can't explain. We put agency behind. So, you know, when something happens and we can't explain it, like, you know, your mother falls down and you go, oh, I stepped on a crack, or, you know, someone must have done something to harm, you know, we put agency on things that have no agency. Look, don't confuse me, Ember. Don't confuse me. All right, just stop. Stop confusing me. No, I think Chimera is correct. I think that is correct. We're still having a metallurgy conversation, which I'm all in a fan of. You are being unimagined by the science you hope in as we speak. Unimagined? N-erd. I believe you mean imagined. I don't know why that would be the case when we understand more about humans now than we ever did, especially how humans relate to the world around them. I heard a term being used for humanity, and that is an ultra-social species. It's not just that we're social, we are ultra-social. We actually go a bit weird if we don't socialize, which is interesting. And I don't see how we're unimagined. I see it as science has discovered a lot of things that are from the imagination, right? Like, so things like, we have discovered that disease is not a product of curses, right? Like, or magic or witches, or, it isn't carried by smell, right? We have found this out with science. So it is unimagining a lot of things, but humans and myself are not in the imagination. I am very real. I am the realest person you'll ever meet, presumably. And the Masonites. Castellano is the proper royal court Spanish. Right, yes, from Castillo Castle there are survived Spanish languages, to be fair. Fair enough. Hey, that's cool. Yes, Seattleites. Washingtonians. Look, I'm from Perth, and the best one I ever heard was Perfectionists, which is great. Flat Earther in chat. How we know how to make worlds again? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't even know what you mean by that. Good luck with yours, atheist. We share a world, my guy. We're in the same world. I mean, maybe you're in the land of imagination, but look, if you think that your God is real and not a product of your imagination, you can clear that up at any time. I'm happy to discuss it. I really am. But, just having the God come down and say, hey, I'm not imaginary, look, here I am, is a really good start. I don't have an accent. Robin, that is so not true. That is like me saying I don't have an accent. How dare you? How dare you? Chicago is American Standard English. Oh, okay. Well, I know Chicago is also a form of citation. So that's sort of the American. I can't remember. Aunt Jo told me what it was. It was like American Standard Dialect kind of thing. I forgot what it was actually called. But yeah, I get you. I get you. The language has been corrupt since that Beowulf fellow and his youthful slang on. Oh yeah, blame Beowulf. Yeah, sure. People who live on the wet side of Mount Rainier in the Pacific more wet? Okay. Yep, better call up all the Welsh witches. What have you got against the Welsh? What have you got against the Welsh now? The Welsh are cool. I like the Welsh. Term is old money. Okay, yeah, I guess so. Sure, old money then. Posh, old money, sure. Jesus is the god of war? Really? Really? To stop the chat? Never. Really? Yeah, please, like, your caps lock is broken, sir. You need to fix it. You need to fix it. Like, it's a thing. I'm right. Oh, Rusty. I never said I hated it. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna skip some because you're right. I'm never gonna wait for that. You don't have to. But I do have to move it along. I get you. I like grass much better than pseudopear. Hey, I like the sort of water in front of your House of Congress. The pool thing. I don't know what it's called. Freedom Pool or whatever. I don't know what it is. Looks like unfinished Parliament House with those empty gaps. Oh no, Theo, get out of here. Come on. I think Rusty is upset the Earth is round, so maybe it's not a problem. Perhaps. Look, Rusty, buddy, it's okay. We can have a difference of opinion and not like wish each other unimagined. Okay, like we can disagree and say, hey, I don't agree that a God is real. You think that a God is real? Sure, as long as I'm not harming you, which I'm not. Like, you think God's going to torture me forever for what I'm doing? That's fine. You can believe that. You can think I'm a foolish atheist with no idea what I'm doing. Sure, I'm not offended by that. That's okay. But, like, what do you mean by unimagined? It's kind of weird. It just sounds a bit weird, mate. Received pronunciation, thank you, Aunt Jer. Received pronunciation is the word for the standard accent of any given country. It's the accent that newscasters use in that country. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Mm. Yes, yes. Steve Irwin, yes. Yes. Oh, it was a beautiful, beautiful. That's actually a yeah, so that isn't the received pronunciation in Australia. The newscasters don't use it. It's more a Sydney accent that is the received pronunciation in Australia. Steve Irwin was actually a Queenslander accent, and you can hear that Queenslander accent coming out. Oh, it was beautiful, and he had such a nice tail. I just wanted to pet him and stick a finger up his butthole. Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah, definitely Queensland, Australian. Perth's different. Perth's very different. It's a very different accent. Satanic Temple, how dare you? How dare you? Okay. Well, that was fascinating, people. I loved that chat. I had such a good time going through it, but I can't do it forever. I know. I should get some endurance. What the hell? And the poll says God is the asshole. Yeah, I kind of agree. Definitely for the Tower of Babel, sort of tearing down humanity because they might be successful at something, is pretty asshole behavior. You know, like, but it contradicts where it says that God isn't the author of confusion, but Yahweh, presumably God, made languages diverse literally to confuse people. So it's a contradiction, a vast contradiction, because it says he's not the author of confusion, and then he authors confusion to stop humanity from succeeding. I am glad that it is just sort of mythology. I really am, because it would have been a horrible thing to do. Okay, next up, turn your Bible page, grab your cross, get your burning bush in hand, because we have another one. Hey, we see you. Yes, yes, I am on the internet. I'm glad. It means my camera's working. I do, yes. I don't know if that's some sort of threat, but I don't see you. I would like to have a conversation, talk about it. Look, I know this is a silly segment where we're going through and just having a bit of a laugh, but I don't mind having serious conversations either. I really don't. But if you're getting offended on behalf of an omniscient, omnipotent, all benevolent God, then there's a problem there. There's a problem there. And are you sure that you haven't made the God your identity, and you're taking offense because your identity is not being respected? Maybe have a think about that. Like, why would you be offended on behalf of God? Maybe have a think about it. God would be able to do or say whatever to me that he wants. So why does he need you? Maybe, like, I'm not saying, hey, just just have a think about it. Why do you have to do that? I am over. No, this is not over. This is not over. Absolutely not over, because we're into Genesis 12. Yes, Genesis 12. Wow, we're flying through these. From I am Yahweh. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for plaguing a household because my follower lied about his relationship? And yes, this is as bad as it sounds. This is just as bad as it sounds. I'll get up Genesis 12 in my Bible, online Bible, so I can sort of track along. And, if Rusty, look, mate, if you disagree with any of the interpretation, please do tell me how my interpretation is wrong. Because, different interpretations, sure, but tell me how it's wrong. Because as far as I know, this is exactly what happened, according to, your holy book. Not my fault if you haven't read it, mate. Maybe you should read it. I asked you how 350. I don't remember that question. How 350? Presumably after 349. How did 350 million cubic miles of water appear on a spinning sphere in a vacuum that would boil H2O before it could ever rain on your world? Okay, so in the very early days of Earth, a planet called Theia hit the Earth and it knocked off a small chunk that became the moon. Now, that planet called Theia supposedly, or we think it had ice on it, and ice was delivered from comets and other ice-bearing sort of rogue planetoids that hit the Earth, because the Earth gets hit by meteorites all the time. And comets not so much, but, you know, it can happen. Now, when H2O is boiled, it doesn't leave the system, right? When you boil water, right, and you have, say, a something over it, it doesn't leave. Even if it goes into the atmosphere, it doesn't leave the system. It's still there. It condenses and forms rain. Right? And it's a lot colder when you go up. Like, so up a mountain, it is a lot colder than down towards sea level. So even if things did boil, as you say, it would condense when it hit that upper atmosphere because it is colder. So that's what happens. I mean, that's still how the water system, the water cycle occurs. I'm not sure if you did see like the water cycle in high school. They teach it to you in high school that water evaporates. It goes to steam, sure. It goes up in the atmosphere, cools in the atmosphere, and then comes down as rain. This is high school stuff, Rusty. It's high school stuff, buddy. It's high school stuff. But yeah, it's how water got on. It's yeah. Yeah, and maybe there's something else to it. Granted. Anyway, so I picked this one guy, Abram. Yeah, and it says Abram. It is Abraham. It is the same guy. It's just spelt differently in, you know, sort of the early books of the Bible. And told him to do something which made absolutely no sense, which was to abandon his country, Haran, and emigrate. By the way, emigrate is when people leave the country. Immigrate is when people enter the country. So emigration is a thing. If I left Australia, it would be emigration. Emigrate to another land. I promised him a great nation and to bless those that helped him while cursing those that hindered him. I was genuinely surprised when Abram actually listened. He packed up his wife Sarai, yes, that Sarai, yes, his nephew Lot, all their possessions and left. When he arrived in the land of Canaan, I appeared to him and told him this was the land I intended to give to his descendants. Abram responded by building altars and acknowledging me publicly. So far, so good. This was exactly the kind of trust I was looking for. What ages is that? The high school. Oh, look, Australians have high school, like primary school, then high school. There's no middle school in Australia. So I'm probably talking about the same thing, like our year 8 to 9 kind of thing. Like we have upper school in high school, like upper school, high school, which is like year 11 and 12. So elementary, I presume that's same as our primary school. Look, it might just be a different naming convention for schools, to be honest with you. But yeah, about the same time, about your year 8, right, in school, just when you've left elementary school. Like it is basic physics knowledge of how the water cycle happens. I gotcha. Yeah, then things got complicated. A famine hit the land. Uh-oh. Who sent the famine? Why did the famine occur? We learned that in 6 to 8. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so about the same time. Yeah, granted. Yes. Yeah, no, I gotcha. Um, who sent the famine? Instead of checking with me, Abram decided on going on his own down to Egypt for food. Well, Egypt did produce a lot of food. You know, it did have the Nile floods and everything. So it was, during its time, Egypt was an agricultural powerhouse because the yearly flood would really make the soil fertile. So they were an absolute powerhouse at the time. The choice alone isn't the issue. The issue came when Abram got all angsty about his wife. Abram was worried that Sarai was so beautiful the Egyptians might kill him to take her, like you would, right? So he told her to say she was his sister. Technically that is true. Technically, she was his half-sister. Yes, that is what the Bible says. Abraham, or Abram, the patriarch of the entire people of Israel, was in a marriage with his half-sister. Yes, that is true. Tubal, I think it was Tubal. Terah, the father of Abram, was also the father of Sarai. Yes. You can check it. Absolutely true. Those good biblical values, yes, of incest and lying to say it isn't the wife. So I don't know why the Egyptians, who were a pretty civilized people at the time, might kill you to take your wife, but wouldn't kill you to take your sister. I don't know. It's very strange. It's very, very strange. I don't understand. Technically, she was his half-sister, but she was also his wife. Don't ask. Well, I'm asking. Good biblical values. When the Pharaoh's officials saw her, they took her to the palace, and Abram benefited greatly with many gifts from the Pharaoh because of her. Right. So what it's saying is that the patriarch of all Israel lied and said that his wife, who was also his half-sister, was just his sister and he wasn't married to her. She then was given to the Pharaoh, who took her to the palace, and he got a lot of gifts on her, like, because she was getting gifts. He was getting gifts on behalf of the Pharaoh for his wife. So to me, this sort of screams prostitution, quite frankly. I'm not sure if Abram thought that the Egyptians would kill her, because there doesn't seem to be a case to be made for that. But maybe he lied so he could get some gifts for his sister wife. Because, hey, there was a famine. And it does say, I'll just look it up. It does say he got all kinds of things. He got, Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys. I'm not sure why it has to point out both, but male and female donkeys, male and female servants, that's slaves, and camels. So apparently male and female donkeys, but just generic camels for some reason. But like, this is sort of like, why would you think they would kill you for your wife but not kill you for your sister? To me, this more speaks to a man who has a very beautiful sister wife and is using her to get some gifts, get some stuff for himself. And presumably it could be one of those, you know, hey, we're in a bind, we've got a famine. Egypt doesn't have a famine, probably because of the Nile floods. They're an economic powerhouse. They're really well off. Take the beautiful sister wife and... Okay. So I sort of gave the pharaoh and his household a bit of a plague because he took someone else's wife. Right. Now, because I hadn't taught them about penicillin, the pharaoh got very angry with Abram when he realized that she was technically his wife. So, this has been suggested. Now, we don't know for sure, but this has been suggested that Sarai gave Pharaoh the clap. She gave him an STI or an STD, right? Like, there has been that suggested that she gave him a venereal disease. Okay, that has been. I don't know that for sure. And it says that the Lord gave his household a plague. So it wasn't a plague over the people of Egypt. It wasn't a plague over, you know, a vast amount of the population. It's just the Pharaoh's household. So if you understand, you know, how, you know, that society worked, the Pharaoh had a number of concubines. He had a number of, you know, sort of, that's his household. Now, it does include the servants and stuff, so it could have been a very, very, a plague that was only one family. But that is weird, right? Like, so if you have a plague, it usually is over the population. It will be transmitted. We know how disease works. So a plague that only affects one family, there is a case to be made that that's a sexually transmitted disease. The Pharaoh kicked Abram out, but he did get to keep the gifts he got, as well as his wife. So it wasn't a complete loss, and he really came out ahead of the game. Yeah, except for maybe his wife being, or being cucked by the Pharaoh, basically. You know, as much as I dislike that word, I mean, he was up for it. Abram was up for it. He gave his wife to the Pharaoh. I mean, I'm sure the Pharaoh just liked her company, so was showering gifts on what he thought and was technically her brother. Does that mean Abraham was cucked? Absolutely. And just because it was a consensual look, if you want to, like, if you are in an alternative lifestyle and you're, you know, you're putting your wife out there because they're both consenting adults, I have no problem. I would have liked to hear it from Sarai's perspective. Was she okay with this? You know, did she want to go and engage with the Pharaoh? Because it kind of is this, well, this is what Abram decided. It doesn't even say, you know, women at the time did not have a lot of options when their husbands, or their brothers for that matter, in Canaanite culture decided something. Right? And if she did give the clap to the Pharaoh, God could have just given them penicillin. Penicillin is not hard to get. It's not even that hard. It's just moldy bread, essentially. That is penicillin, the bacteria that arise on there. Now, you have to do some stuff to it to make it, but it's not that hard to get. It's not. That is a song from the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It's a song from Chris Mallard's channel, which is kind of funny. And it's exploring that idea that, hey, you give your wife, who's also your sister, to the Pharaoh, and their household, their family, gets a plague. That has been proffered as a sexually transmitted disease. Now, we don't know for sure, but it's kind of funny to think about that the patriarch of these holy people was sort of prostituting his sister and wife, and that's one person, for gifts from a Pharaoh. Now, some people looking back say I should have stopped Abraham from going to Egypt. Yeah, probably. Or protected him so he didn't have to lie about Sarai. Yeah, because if you're the chosen representative of God and you're going to Egypt, it's not exactly faith in action to say, hey, we better lie so the Egyptians don't kill me. Right? Like, if you're a chosen one of God, you really shouldn't have to worry about the Egyptians slaughtering you. But all throughout the Old Testament, there's people worried, and even God worried, because the people could do things they can't stop, right? Like it's a sort of thing that you'll see threaded through the Old Testament. They also point out I shouldn't have made the famine that made him go to Egypt in the first place, but I do work in mysterious ways. Yeah, so if he didn't approve of Sarai being in with Pharaoh, why did he make the famine in the first place? Like, why did he inflict famine on Abraham, his chosen representative, and his family in the first place? Nobody knows. It's just, well, famine came. Yeah, I believe that famines come, but as a believer in the classical God of theism, you have to believe that God was the one that inflicted the famine and started this thing in the first place. And I might add, he didn't inflict the same famine on the Egyptians, right? Because they were doing fine. Probably because, as I've said before, the Nile floods every year. It's very fertile ground. They are an agricultural powerhouse during that time, right? Now, we can say, hey, the way that the climate worked in the lands where it's Canaan, it's very arid, but Egypt had that Nile to keep them going, so they weren't affected. But a theist reading this has to believe that God decided to inflict a famine on his chosen people and did not inflict the same thing on the Egyptians. So what's going on here? Nobody knows. It's very mysterious. I have also had some people accuse me of punishing an innocent family because the Pharaoh didn't know that Sarai was taken, which is true. But I do stand by my punishment because ignorance is no excuse for law breaking. Okay, so let's have a look at that from a present moral standpoint. You have a chosen person, you have your representative as a god, you have your representative who lies about his marital status because, as he claims, he doesn't want to be killed, but he's getting gifts for this. He's making sort of a profit from lying about his marital status to this woman. So the Pharaoh and his family, who are giving him the gifts and, have no idea that she's not only his sister, but also she's his wife, get a plague, right? You punish them with a plague. And it says specifically in the chapter that the Lord says, like the Lord gave a plague. So it's not a case of, oh, well, it just happened. It is a case of the Lord inflicted serious diseases on them, right? It's inflicted, the Lord inflicted. So it's very, very, it's not the devil, it's not any other angel. It is the Lord inflicted it on them. But Pharaoh really didn't know, because as soon as he knew, he is, what have you done to me? The Pharaoh says to Abraham, what have you done to me? And says, take your wife and go. So as soon as he finds out, he's like, get out of here, and doesn't even take back the gifts. So you've got to wonder what kind of God punishes somebody that has no idea that what he did is wrong, and the person that did a wrong upon the Pharaoh by lying and sort of almost cheating him out of gifts that the Pharaoh was giving him, and he rewards him by allowing him to keep the gifts and go back with his wife and just go off. And yeah, he's a little cucked, but who doesn't really matter. It's weird to think that. It doesn't speak to me of a particularly moral system where the perpetrator you're rewarding and the victim, the Pharaoh, who is a victim of falsehoods, is punished. It seems weird. And not only is the Pharaoh punished, but also the members of his household, his family, is punished too. Like, that does not seem like a just outcome. Because even if you said, hey, it doesn't matter that you didn't know that was somebody's wife, you took his wife and that has to be punished. Okay, I get that. It's like receiving stolen goods kind of thing. Okay, but what did his other wives do? What did his family do that was so wrong? Nothing. They didn't even know about it. But the Lord punishes them as well. And you'll see this is a common theme throughout the Old Testament. That God will punish people even tangentially associated with what he thinks is wrong. And that isn't how our concept of justice works these days. We don't just punish someone's family or visit the sins of the father upon the children, and don't get me wrong, that does happen, because when we lock somebody up, there is a incredible burden, an incredible horrible thing placed upon their family who did nothing wrong, right? Their wife, their children, they did nothing wrong, and they're being punished by losing their father, losing their husband, and things like that. And I saw a very good, just off on a tangent, I saw a very good thing on YouTube about the American justice system and why it's in such a awful place at the moment. And I was shocked to learn some things. And it's very interesting going into, they compared the American justice system with the Norwegian one, because up to a certain point, they were almost identical. They were working on the same premises, the same ideas. They were almost identical. And America went towards punitive justice and Norway went towards rehabilitative justice. And that made all the difference. It's incredible. I highly recommend. Okay. In my defense, everyone made it out alive, and some light cursing and plaguing, or plaguing cursing, is better than some serious smiting, which was an option. The Pharaoh and his household wasn't my chosen people, so I don't see the problem with what happened, even though everyone is saying I'm the bad guy. Was I wrong to put a plague on the household of the Pharaoh? Edit. Please stop fixating on Abram being the half-brother of his wife. It's not an important part of the story. Edit. Stop calling my chosen people inbred hillbillies. It was a different culture. It sure was. A biblical culture. A biblical culture of having your wife as also your sister. Wonderful. Wonderful biblical values. We all love them. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we'll get the poll going. So bear with me. I will get the poll going. And Rusty, you can vote. You can vote and you can object all you want. I don't mind. Object away. Object away. Was God right for plaguing? How do you spell plaguing? Frick. Plaguing. There we go. That'll do. The Pharaoh's, A-O-H, Pharaoh's household with cooties. Look, I have done enough of going through Am I the Arsehole on Reddit to know what these are like. Like, the Redditors are a strange beast. I will tell you that right now. They will fixate on the most weird aspects of the story. And I don't mean weird like weird to me. I mean the weirdest part of the story, like the most strange part of the story, and demand information. Like absolutely demand information, like, why were you doing this? And it's like, well, it's not really pertinent to the story, but I can understand why they're curious. Like, that is so weird. So you do get stuff like this coming up, like, stop asking me to move out of home kind of thing. I can't afford it. And it's just like, oh, Redditors, you are so demanding. Reddit's a wild place. But I will go back through the comments and read Rusty's objections. Rusty, I love you, man. You're making this so much fun. It's don't ever leave. Don't ever leave me. Don't ever leave me. Let's see. I think I was up to the Satanic Temple. Look, okay, so it may be a controversial opinion. I think the Satanic Temple has some really good precepts and tenets that it follows. I think it's very good. I think others kind of less so. As for the Church of Satan, I think they suck. I think they are terrible. I've read the Satanic Bible. It has some good things in it, but a lot of it is sort of very Machiavellian about power and control, and it seems very horrible. But the Satanic Temple don't go in for that stuff. And I think that in some ways, even the Satanic Bible is superior to the Bible. The Satanic Bible in one case says a central tenet is you will not harm any child. Do not harm children. And that is how I know, that is how I know that it is a sort of a false flag, and it is a lie to distract, saying that, oh, all of this, you know, Epstein stuff is satanic followers, because satanic followers would never harm a children, would never harm a child, ever. Ever. It is their central tenet. Don't harm children. Children will grow into what they experience. Do not harm children. So I know it's not. I know it is not a satanic cabal, because it goes against everything that they say. Like, it is just, you know, antithetical. Then again, you know, the evangelicals are supporting these people, so maybe it is like a cabal of Satanists that don't believe in it. I don't know, but hey. I like the New South Wales Aussie. Yeah, that's the Sydney accent that I was talking about, the one that you generally hear. Yes, I do too. I think it's great. I do like the Perth accent. I think the Perth accent is, generally speaking, a lot more clearer and sort of more English, if that makes any sense. It's more like English than the Sydney one is. Some notable Western Australian people, I've said this before, but some notable West Australian people that you might have heard their accent is Heath Ledger and Tim Minchin, for instance. He's from Western Australia. He's from Margaret River, but he did his studies in Perth, where I am. So he does have that West Australian accent, and it does sound a little bit with an English inflection. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. DeFork, hey, good driving. Hey, we see you. I see you too, Rusty. I acknowledge you, and I don't imagine you away. I am over. I am not. I am not. I see UP. Wow, Jer, you got to stop hanging out in those bathrooms. Like, seriously, that is, I see UP. Okay, bit of privacy. Burning bush means that you should have spent more than $20 for that prostitute. I've already answered that $350 thing. Good stuff. We're not talking about pet. Yeah, no, we're not talking flat Earth. It's you know, after the final experiment, which was fantastic. I really admire the guy that did the final experiment. He was fantastic. I think that sort of going at it and saying, hey, let's be honest about this, right? Let's be honest about this, and you know, do something to test the validity of it. Will Duffy. Sorry, I forgot his name. I had to look it up. Will Duffy, what a guy. What a fantastic guy. Because he was like, okay, both sides say a different thing. How do we test this? So he came up with the final experiment, Rusty. And that's where they took flat earthers and globe believers, as you call them, or globe tards, or whatever you want to call them, to Antarctica to see the 24-hour sun. And a 24-hour sun there was. No one's lying. It's not a conspiracy. It is just how it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, Rusty, don't make Aunt Jer mad. Yeah, no, don't make Aunt Jer mad. It's okay. Rusty's okay, but yeah, we're talking about the Bible. Give us your perspective of the Old Testament, of why it has so many horrible things God does in there. Yeah. Yeah, no, I looked this up when he first came on One by Land. Apparently, it's also Thea. You know, the planet that they basically think hit us, that created the moon, that knocked a chunk off and became the moon. It could have had ice on it as well, causing us to have ice, causing us to have water. I lived there. We didn't talk like the bears. Okay. I believe you. I believe you. Left-handed Jedi says this is why the Bible isn't the inspired word of God. If it were inspired, we couldn't interpret it. If it's inspired, then we couldn't interpret it. Right, like it'd be absolutely plain for all to see exactly how you should. Right, I get what Left-handed Jedi is saying. He's saying that if God inspired a book, it would be like a manual. You know, it would be no confusion, no misinterpretations, no different interpretations. Like nobody reads the manual for a car and has their own interpretation of it, right? It is laid out in a technical manner. So you've got to ask why the Bible isn't laid out in a technical manner and needs interpretation. I agree. I agree. And the level of writing that is proffered from the Bible seems to be about the level of writing that existed in the age it was written. Just saying. You know, like it's mistakes about science. It's misunderstandings about language. It all of this seems to be, you know, like it's misunderstanding that the heart is where your thoughts are. You know, like all of this kind of thing. It seems to be exactly lining up with when it was written. And that's okay. I don't expect them to know all this stuff, but a God would. Early bombardment period? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, gravity's a thing. It was proven in the Cavendish experiment. If you don't know what the Cavendish experiment is, look it up. Look it up. Yeah, so this is the thing about inertial frames of reference. There was a great video on skateboarding on moving platform. And I just want to show this because it was so good. It was so good. Moving trailer. Being towed? All right, maybe I can't find it. That's okay. But they were towing a half pipe and someone was skateboarding on it to show that once you have an inertial frame of reference, it's like you don't, like everything just moves with it. And it was a great video. I wish I'd saved it because it was actually, oh, bike. It was a bike on a moving train. Okay. Okay, I gotcha. I'm just going to the, okay. You ready for this, Rusty? This is cool. This is cool, okay? This is cool stuff. This is cool stuff, okay? You ready? You ready? Check this out. Okay, I need to like that. So they're trying to match it up with how fast the thing is going. This is inertial frames of reference. I'm trying to show it. See that? Because he is cycling at the same speed the train is going forward, like in relative to the sign, the crossing or the harvester here, he's basically staying still, right? Because his momentum and his energy is countering the train's energy, even though he's pedaling his heart out. Isn't that an awesome video? Who would have thought that Red Bull could have been so, 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 educational? So no, it doesn't just flip you under. As long as you're moving in the same direction, it's like it's staying still, right? So he's got the momentum of the train going, right? And then he's countering it with acceleration the opposite direction. Isn't that cool? And it's just like it's a stationary platform to him. But he is moving with the train. And he is riding against it. Right? Isn't that awesome? I love that stuff. That was a really good video. Red Bull, well done. We can teach flat earthers inertial frames of reference. Water cycle. Yes, we did water cycle. Let's see. High schools of the globe, the water doesn't magically vanish. No, it doesn't. So, first law of thermodynamics, in a closed system, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. The water is not destroyed. The water changes into steam, hydrogen, and oxygen. When it floats up, it recombines into water, makes clouds, rains, water cycle, very simple. Learned around, was not flat around 200 BC. Yeah, I mean, they had a good idea before that, and that was the test to see whether it was. That was Eratosthenes, which was a great experiment. God sent Trump because he was out of locusts. Look, that is just too accurate. Look, I don't know. I think that people like him have been around for ages. What confuses me is why people don't actually evaluate what he's doing rather than how they fear about it. Parachutes on Mars instantaneously full hooding in an atmosphere made only of the argon of a... What do you mean argon? It's mostly carbon dioxide, which is a lot thicker than just mostly nitrogen in our... What are you talking about? Atmosphere of Mars. Is it mostly argon? No, it's carbon dioxide with small amounts of nitrogen and argon and trace gases. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, it's not as dense as Earth's atmosphere, but carbon dioxide is the primary factor, which, you know, is a lot more dense than, like, the particles are more dense than just oxygen or nitrogen, because it's a carbon dioxide. Incest, yes. Definitely incest. Definitely incest. I know you are a devil. Look, Rusty, man, like, nobody's a devil. Devils don't exist. Demons don't exist, mate. They don't. Like, it's sort of sad that anybody that disagrees with you, and this is what's called dehumanizing behavior. You're basically falling into the idea of that people that disagree with you are no longer human. And it's a dangerous route to go down, because intuitively and through sort of social cooperation, we know that we don't want to harm humans. But when you start to say, hey, they're no longer human anymore, you are giving permission to treat somebody awfully. And as much as I disagree with you, Rusty, I wouldn't want to treat you awfully. So I'm a human, you're a human, we disagree, but that's okay, we can disagree. Sort of calling people devils is not the way to go about changing their minds or making them listen to you. Because, you know, I'm basically a devil because I'm not taking the Bible seriously. And I'm really sorry, but you don't get to push your religion on me any more than, you know, you know, if that's not right, then if that's fine to do, then an Islamic person calling you a devil is fine to do. And I don't think that's right, because it's dehumanizing. The Egyptians were miles more advanced than the Israelites. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, don't call people names. Look, there's no such thing as devils. There's no such thing as demons. There's no such thing as magic. It's just not a thing. And if there is, show it to me, because I've never seen it. So I don't believe in devils either. Because Pythagoras knew the sum of the center of a solar system doesn't mean people have to understand it today. Yeah. Sister wife sounds like some of the hillbillies. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I made that joke afterwards, like, stop calling my chosen people hillbillies. Because, yeah. Oh, look, Robin, come on. You have hillbillies, okay? We have hillbillies. We call them bogans, but they're still exactly the same thing. Like, come on now. There's lots of that in Utah. Mormonism, yes. Yep. Robin will beat you with a corncob pipe. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, the Egyptians were startlingly advanced. Yeah, their understanding of masonry was incredible. Incredible. Like, you know, just because we sort of say, hey, they lived a long time ago, doesn't mean they weren't, you know, completely primitive savages. Nobody thinks that. It is these ideas that came up during colonialism that less sort of technically advanced cultures just don't know anything. You know, they've got no idea kind of thing. And that isn't the case, right? Like, that's not what we think anymore. Well, that's how most of us don't think anymore. The people that still think that way generally are religious people that go, hey, they needed religion. And I don't, look, our friend Rusty might not believe this. You know, there's Christians that don't believe this, but I've talked to Christians that say that, for instance, the Native Americans were savages who needed Christianity. And no, they weren't. They had a complex culture and were very technically advanced in some respects. Like, it's just a misunderstanding of, you know, but, you know, it's this colonialism mentality that you're not saying it was bad, that your people basically abused and tortured and you know, did horrific things to another culture just because they could. Sharing is caring. Yep. Yes, that is a, well, when you say a real song, it's definitely a song on Chris Mallard's channel. It's actually quite funny. I think he did a really good job on those songs. Welcome to Far Worse Than Any Poltergeist in Any House in Germany. Poltergeists aren't real. Rusty, my guy. Poltergeists aren't real. Like, nobody's been able to demonstrate a poltergeist. I don't know what planet you're living on. You know, most Germans will say, hey, yeah, poltergeist was the mythology. They're not real. It's on Spotify. Oh, rather. Just don't say you're an atheist or a Muslim as long as you say Christian. Yeah, yeah. You still going, Devil? Yeah, yeah, I'll be here all night. I'll be here all night. But yeah, please stop with the dehumanization. It's not cool. You're not clever for doing it. People aren't devils. People are just people, and you may think that I'm doing something wrong, but I'm still a person. Like, this dehumanization really speaks low of your character, Rusty. It really speaks low of your character, because you're sort of calling people non-human. It's not cool, mate. It's not. Because there's a group that did that. They were called the Nazis. Yes, they dehumanized people for a reason, because they wanted to do terrible things to them while thinking that they weren't human. Don't dehumanize people. It's bad. It's very bad. You can think I'm wrong. You can think I'm a blasphemer. You can think all of that kind of stuff. If I'm a devil, where are my magic powers? Where is my, you know, ability to get more than, you know, 20 odd people in my chat? Like, seriously, this is stupid. This is so stupid. Oh, you know, saying you're not a demon is exactly what a demon would say. Come on, dude. Seriously, you sound like a crazy person. You really do. And one of the primary indicators for mental health in young people, for bad mental health in young people, is a belief in demons. Be aware of that. When you start teaching kids that there's magical spirits out there that are harming them, they do not do well. Okay, that is an indicator for bad mental health. You know, there's other things like, you know, for instance, abusive parents and things like that, but one of the main indicators is believing in demons. Deviant says that's really telling. The camel wasn't introduced until the Greco-Roman era, specifically the Ptolemaic era, i.e. 23 to 37 BCE, and Abraham supposedly lived way before the supposed time of Noah, Joseph, and even time of Moses, Joseph, and even Noah. And they placed Noah at the time of the Giza pyramids, i.e. 2600 BCE, and they place Abraham about 1,000 years after Noah, you mean, after Noah. Yep. So about 500 years before the unification Nama, the first dynasty, the early dynastic period. Yeah, so they're all out. They're all out. And I think someone did earlier, I'm sure somebody said, like, how did the Egyptians not notice the flood? There it is, yeah. Don't you think it's a bit contradictory that the Bible mentions Noah flood, but the Egyptians only ever mention the Nile flooding, no global flood? Yes, and they're not the only ones. There's also the Chinese, there's the Japanese, there's all these civilizations which do not mention a flood that covered everything. Like the Chinese have a legend about the Yellow River flooding, and it's not for the right time period for a start that would be the global flood, and it's very specifically the lands around the river. It's not a global flood either. So, you know, all of that just sort of says it cannot be a global flood. We have a documented kings and pharaohs of Egypt going through that period without breaking. It's wild to even believe that. It really is. It really is. Yeah, thanks, Deviant. Awesome facts. I agree with misinterpretations. Awesome facts. I love Deviant Outcast. She is amazing. I loved her appearances on other shows. Fantastic. Biology education, sure. Let's see. I have a pretty good stash of EVA. I don't know what that is. What is EVA? Extra vehicle activity. Okay, EVA. Yes, extra vehicle. Right. Egypt insights and now camels too. We're getting when you join the chat. Always. Deviant's amazing. Yeah, quantum mechanics. I'm not even sure I want to go near there. From what I've read about quantum mechanics, it's just going to make me angry, quite frankly. The American justice system is simply to allow billionaires to make more billionaires. I don't know about that, Robin. I think that it's kind of complicated. Because I sort of, when the guy was talking, it kind of makes sense that the whole industry around the prison systems in America, it's not really the cause, it's just a symptom of it. It's just something that came up. But it is the tough on crime attitude that kind of have got them into this mess. That they have to jail everybody for everything and just lock them up and throw away the key without trying to rehabilitate anybody. That's mainly the problem. I'm here to vote God an arsehole, but I'm not biased. Okay, maybe just a little bit. Yeah, look, and if you're going to say, hey, you can't judge God if you don't think he's real, look, I can judge Voldemort, and I don't think he's real either. Voldemort was a complete prick. And he's definitely not real. So yes, we can. Eric Wanda, member for 23 months. You're almost at the 2. You've almost caught up to Jedi. You're doing well, Eric. When you catch up to Jedi, woohoo! I will fight you in an arena to see who wins. Hello to you. Good to see you. I've been trying to beat that one into random Christians since the Prince of Egypt came out. It's not been very fruitful, so I'm glad someone appreciates your random camel facts. Where did camels originally come from? Was it like sort of more southern Africa, like further south kind of thing? Was that where they came from? Because I know there's now camels in Australia, but of course they were introduced. Like people came over and went, hey, this is pretty hot. You know what? Might need a camel in this place. Camels are awesome. Yeah, camels are cool. I agree. I like camels. Camels are awesome. I do not like the Church of Satan. Anton LaVey was not really that good of a thinker. Yeah, I do not like that stuff either. It is all power and, control and, revenge, and it's just, seriously, what the hell? But I will say, they still protected children. I admit that I got nothing against satanic stuff, but I still don't mess with them. I know I have a whole lot more deconstructing to do. Hey, look, if any philosophy or any belief system is against what you think is right, that's fine. I don't really get into their stuff either. You prefer the satanic? Yeah, same here. Well, the Satanic Temple, they're more philosophical than theist kind of thing. And I get that they sort of call themselves a religion and it's based upon shared beliefs and they have ritualistic sort of things that they do in order to cement their beliefs or reinforce their beliefs. And I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. It's just it doesn't appeal to me. I don't need sort of the accoutrements of religion in order to sustain and justify my beliefs. I have no problem with them doing so. Like, no problem whatsoever. I just don't need that stuff personally. And hey, good luck to them if they do. I don't have a problem. As long as they're not harming anybody, I don't have a problem. Satanism, whatever you call them, are mostly atheist, right? There are any people that actually... Right, so that's the difference, is that the Satanic Temple is mostly sort of an atheistic religion. They believe in these philosophies. They believe in this as a matter of tenets, like fundamental tenets, but they don't actually believe in a Satan figure, and it's more an expression of certain virtues or certain values like freedom and loving yourself and things like that, right? That's the Satanic Temple. The Church of Satan is more of the Satan is a real being, we worship him kind of stuff. It's more of that occultism kind of thing, which is why the Satanic Temple is the more accepted one among atheists, I mean, because they're not really theists at all. Hey, Skeptic Philosophy, good to see you. Yeah, best of luck with deconstruction. Look, everybody should do deconstruction. Yeah, absolutely, McTime. But everyone should deconstruct. Like I deconstructed kind of thing. I mean, I didn't know it was deconstruction, but really all it is just going, what do I believe and how do I justify those beliefs? Like, how do I justify what it is that I think is true? And for me, the ones that did not pass scrutiny were things like astrology and crystals and healing and things like that sort of woo stuff, that new age stuff. It didn't pass muster. But I think everybody should do that, including atheists. Why do I believe the things that I believe? If I believe that, hey, democracy should be the system of choice, why do I believe that? Deconstruction isn't just for theists. We as atheists also have to deconstruct our beliefs and make sure they do have a good justification, or at least, your beliefs have practical value for you. There is a case to be made for pragmatism, like having a value to believing something. However, I would rather believe in what is true and therefore have a justification for it. They saw the light for 24 hours and set them free. I can't believe Duffy is a YEC. It stunned me. Well, I believe that Erica is teaching him evolution, so maybe he won't be for long. Like, it may be that he actually does realize that we have answers for all of these things. I don't know. But yeah, he was a young earth creationist who was seeing a rift in the churches, because there was a rift. I've met Christians that like to say, hey, there was no rift in, the young earth creationist churches between flat earthers and other Christians. There absolutely was. There was massive rifts forming, and he just wanted to find out the truth. Fair enough. But I think that young earth creationism is almost as incredulous. It doesn't have credibility as well as young earth. Like, young earth creationism is almost as bad as flat earth, because the things that you are saying is based in your faith and a book, what a book says, rather than what we observe in the world around us. I'm sorry, it just is. And the arguments that they use, which is why at the start of this I mentioned that Donnie from Standing for Truth, he's sort of talking about, the laws of thermodynamics disproving, proving young Earth creationism. And it is like, wow, he is really just going to the flat Earth arguments, because they will use the same ones. Oh, the first and second law of thermodynamics shows that it can't be a round Earth. No, it doesn't. And it doesn't prove that it's a young Earth either. It's actually wild how he's just repeating their arguments. If it was the truth, there wouldn't be so many interpretations, versions, variations in the number of books, and they wouldn't butcher their own book so badly. Yeah, look, there is something to be said that people will always argue over what is true. You're right. But, usually we will come up with some sort of methodology, some way to tell truth from fiction. And with the Bible, you just don't have it. There's no way to show who's right. So we're kind of mired down in arguing over who's right about something that just can't be demonstrated. It's wild. God gave life to the text? Okay, that's a better translation. He gave life to the text. Okay, well, I mean, God's publishing company, now with 100% more breath of life, I don't even know how to pass that. Like, what does that mean when you breathe life to a book? It can be difficult. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. Being the chosen one is kind of tempting. Absolutely. Being special is a tempting thing to say, hey, I'm special and better than people around me. It is tempting. I gotcha. I really do. I really do. I fell into that trap myself. Like, oh, something, the fact that I can read tarot cards and do these things, it makes me special. But really, when you deconstruct, you realize that you have things that are special about you, right? Like, you have things that you may be good at this and good at that and bad at this and bad at that. And you are a unique and awesome person for all of the good and bad things that you are good and bad at, right? Like that is a thing that you realize, but that doesn't make you better than anybody else. Like, there's other people who are better at you than some things and worse than you at others. And that's okay. And it's totally fine. But just because other people are good at the same things you are doesn't mean that you're not a special person. It kind of, I mean, you can argue if everyone's special, then no one is. I get you. But I prefer to look at it as everybody is uniquely valuable as being part of this species. And that includes me. I've never said I'm better than anybody, and I don't know what you would mean by better. I'm certainly, I think differently, sure. My neurodivergence can be a benefit and it can be a hindrance, right? Like, I think that we've got to say, hey, we're all equal and we all have things going for us and not going for us, and that's okay. That's okay. But I totally understand that temptation to go, hey, there's something special about me that nobody else has, that is sort of thing. And in a way, you're right. Doesn't make you better than anybody else, because everybody has something. It's got, I knew horses were North American, didn't know about camels. Yeah, well, horses sort of got around because they got to Asia as well, because they sort of separated after the Bering Strait land bridge sort of, before that sort of collapsed. So horses got around. Bacterian camels are objectively the best as camels. Look, I think you're just prioritizing humps, quite frankly, Oceanus. I think you're just prioritizing humps. I do admit that sitting on a Bactrian camel is easier than sitting on what's the one-humped camel? It's the I can't remember the name of it. It's like a Eutherian or something. It's not the name of it. types. Dromedary. Yeah, dromedary. Look, I still think, it might be contentious. I think llamas beat them both. Okay, I think llamas are freaking amazing. So yeah, I will I'm all in on Team Llama. I keep wanting to respond when you say misinterpretations, and rightfully so. And rightfully so. Mars' atmosphere would be the same density of Earth if it was just argon. True. It would be great if we could bring back wild Bactrian camel herds back to Canada. They're perfect. Canada? Canada. Look, you've got moose already. I'm not sure I want wild camels as well. I'm not 100% sure. Prepper Jesus riding velociraptors, just like riding ostriches. Very biblical. Yeah. I advocate for going to Venus instead of Mars. The atmosphere is dense, brick can float. We could live in crowds, low pressure, and its gravity is similar to Earth. You'd only need a breathing mask, maybe a t-shirt. No, that's not true. There is all kinds of problems with Venus. Yes, in the clouds, but they also have a huge amount of electrical storms, which you've got to cope with in some way, or else they'll just blow every single electronic that you've got. Venus is actually harder to live on than Mars. Mars is a much better choice because it doesn't have the problems that Venus does. I get what you mean about live in the clouds, but then how do you farm? How do you, raise cattle? How do you like? There's so many problems there. It's an incredible problems. I'm prepared to say, like, it may be one of the moons of Jupiter that is actually the best bet, like Titan or something, might actually be the best bet, but I don't know. Yeah, so how dare you have a thought for yourself? Yeah, and that's something we see in Christians, and it's really worrying that everything is never about yourself. It's all through the lens of Jesus, basically, anything that you do. And I don't think it's particularly healthy. You've got to be able to take care of yourself as well. The Egyptians forgot more technology than the Israelites have developed. I don't know about that. They definitely were way more advanced, which, sort of speculates. You have to speculate where they're getting their technology from. If God doesn't, if God gives it to the Egyptians but not the Israelites, who's the chosen people here? Why are you so threatened by atheists and other critical thinkers and skeptics? I think there's a myriad of reasons, Prepper. I really do. I think that a lot of them transfer their identity to something, right? Like they transfer, and this isn't just Jesus. It's also other things, like somebody who's a mega fan, and their identity is based around a band kind of thing. And then someone says, yeah, that band's crap, and they lose the plot. It's when you're, liking something is fine. It's when your identity is subsumed into that thing that it's a problem. Because if somebody criticizes the thing, you feel like it's criticizing you, and it's a problem. Wait, I can't teleport or cast fireball. Yeah, no, I'd expect as a devil I'd be able to do that, and I can't. It's not fair. I must be the lamest devil ever, I gotta say. Oh, before Noah it goes Abraham, Noah, Joseph, Moses. Right. No, that's not right. Noah was before Abraham. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Let me find something. Let's see. Yeah. Here we go. All right. So this is the patriarchs. It's Noah, Shem, Axrad, Salah, Eber, Peleg, and that's Tower of Babel time. Reu, Serag, Nahor, Terah, and then down to Abraham. And see here, Sarai is also from Terah. Nice. Nice. Cayman in the family. But yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely it definitely more Abraham. The darkness gives me strength, speaks to me. It tells me to stop fighting, understand when I can fight. So there's a wonderful song called High Ren. I keep going on about it to my friends. They're probably sick of it by now, but he sort of says, like, at the end of the song, he sort of does a spoken word, and he sort of says that, you know, the problems that you're having, the struggles in your life, it's not David versus Goliath. It's not you're never meant to beat the darkness, kind of thing. You're never meant to slaughter the darkness and exist purely as a light being. That's not how it works. And he said he compares it to a pendulum swinging from the dark to the light. And I think that's a really good analogy. And he sort of said that the more he struggled, the more he cursed his footsteps, and the harder it became, right? So you sort of go, you've got to just accept that times are crap, right? Like, you're having a hard time, it's all crap. Like, just sort of fighting against it isn't, and suppressing that to be light, kind of thing. It isn't really what we're after. We're going to swing from good to bad, and we're going to have great times, and we're going to enjoy things, and we're going to have some real crappy times. And just admitting that to yourself and going, hey, I feel like shit today. That's okay. That's all right. You don't have to be good and great and fantastic all the time. It's okay. But just sort of being able to do that, we can then accept and move on, and things will get bright again. The pendulum will swing the other way. We will see that light again. It's okay. And that's times where we need our community, and we need our friends, and we need our family, and that's okay too. And if you need help, there is help out there. Call lines, people to help you, just to talk to, because it can be hard. And I know, but instead of fighting against that sort of darkness, we go, hey, yeah, it is dark. It sucks. It does suck, but it won't last forever. It'll be okay. And but not pretending that you're not, sorry, people have to be assholes to me. No, they're not. They're not. They're just angry because they're hurt. You're grocery shopping? Ooh. You grocery shop? Wow, you made of money? Holy crap. Hey, Kip. Holy shit, it's Kip Davis. Yeah. Yeah, damn right. I don't think the Egyptians noticed the global flood. Well, yeah, they didn't. And that's a bit of a problem, because when you claim look, it was probably a local flood. And the flood story seems to have a lot in common with earlier stories like the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Atrahasis. And, look, building up narratives into greater and greater stories is what humans do. Think about, like, oh, I caught a fish this big. By the time, you're telling it next year in the pub, it's, I caught a fish this big. It really is in the nature of us to exaggerate things. It does happen. Turns out none of the soil anywhere in the world noticed the flood. Well, that's not true. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Look, there is floodplains, like the Missoula floodplains in sort of Western America, or sort of Midwest America. But, we would expect those floodplains to be everywhere, and they're not. I totally get what you're saying, but there have been floods. There are floodplains that we know that they have flooded, and we can tell that they have flooded. Problem is, that's not worldwide, and that's a problem. Camels come from the stork? Absolutely. Absolutely, I believe it. You've convinced me. Camel was introduced from the Arabian Peninsula, or as McTime said, with the stork. It's either or, really. Yeah, okay, fair enough. No, Middle East, gotcha. There are wild camels in USA? Maybe Abraham, who was from Canaan, or traveled from Canaan, brought camels to the Pharaoh. And I realize the next question is, then why did the Pharaoh gift him camels back? I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. Maybe the Pharaoh had an uber fast breeding program. I don't know. Don't ask me. There's wild camels in the USA. There's wild camels in Australia. The remnants of a failed U.S. cavalry experiment from the 19th century. Now they're wandering around West Texas and southeastern New Mexico. Yeah, there's wild camels in Australia. Some people from the Middle East brought them here, thinking, rightfully so, that they were very good for exploring the continent because, camels, ships of the desert and all that. I don't know if I'm against Satanism. It's just years of thinking the name is bad. No, and we understand. Look, McTime, like you're deconstructing. We totally understand. Totally understand. You've got to realize it is indoctrination, and that if you actually break it down of why you think that Satanists are evil, it's not anything that they're doing. But I totally understand. No one should hassle you for that. It takes a long while. It is a core belief, and they're really hard to overcome. So it's okay, and be kind to yourself. It's okay if you have these feelings come up. The fact that you are challenging them at all is amazing. It's fantastic. But it's okay. Be kind to yourself. Nobody's stupid. Nobody's ignorant for having believed when they've been taught for so long that it's the truth. It's okay, mate. We all understand and have such sympathy and empathy for that. Okay, beautiful ones. I like being called beautiful. Okay, do take care, Deviant. Thank you so much for giving me camel facts. Much love, happiness. Oh yeah. Why didn't the emoji work? Have they banned my emojis? Have they banned my emojis? Are my emojis banned? Oh, it looks like it's working for me. All right. Well, apparently the algorithm doesn't like you. Oh, there we go. Okay, got it. I think Duffy has left the YEC cult. Yeah, he's learning evolutionary biology from America. Yep. I've been an atheist my entire life. It saddens me to see people struggling to climb out of 19th century thinking, and so many of them. Yeah. Same here. I look, Oceanus, I'm in the same boat, and I did get some light woo. Like I said earlier, I got some crystals and astrology and that kind of tarot and stuff. Just some light, erroneous beliefs. But I cannot imagine how awful it would be. Like I was sort of saying the other day that I've never once been afraid of a hell. Like it has never crossed my mind to be in the slightest bit afraid. I'm sure I've had sort of that existential dread about dying when I was younger, but never I'm going to be tortured for the horrible things. And I cannot even imagine how awful it must be. I really care for people that are going, well, I'm in trouble kind of thing, or I don't know where I'm going after I die kind. It really is saddening to me. It really is upsetting to me that we have people that are so scared over something that they've just been taught, but no real credible evidence to believe. It really does make me sad. I totally get where you're coming from, but I don't. We do this for fun, but it's not really, we're not making fun of people. We're just making fun of a book. And that's all. That's all. It's just a book. I would say that it's 12th century thinking. Well, it depends. It really does depend, Prepper. Maybe I should get dairy cream on my home. Look, I've never had Dairy Queen. I'm going to assume it's good. I think you should. I think you should treat yourself. You've worked hard. Absolutely. Misinterpretations knows where it's at. Man made God in his own image. I think for the Old Testament, that's absolutely true. Absolutely. You have a God that's petty and jealous and, just generally vengeful when they're slighted, when they're disrespected. Very kind of human God right there. In fact, the Greek gods were like that as well. They were very, very jealous, very petty when they were slighted. When they're offended, they took these outrageous actions, very human. I better start skipping. You guys talk too fast. I love it. Don't get me wrong. You'd think that a son of a creator would have mentioned germ theory and penicillin whilst here. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just penicillin. Do you know how many lives that would have saved if he just said, hey, there's a thing in moldy bread. It's called penicillin. It can be used on wounds as a compress, and it will save in billions of lives, or maybe millions of lives over the course of human history. A buddy of mine had a theory that the reason for the main tech difference between the Americas and Europe was that they didn't have an animal like horses which could traverse the climates. America didn't. Got you. Okay, well, yeah, maybe that's one of the factors. It was interesting because I was seeing a documentary about why Europe took off but China didn't, and they accounted for it as wine. Right, weirdest thing, like wine from grapes originated in Europe, and because Europe wanted to see their wine, they made glasses, basically wine glasses, and that led to a revolution in optics. I don't know if that's true, but it was interesting that you look at the drinking vessels of China and the East, and they never had glassware. It was Europe that had glassware, and Europe to make optics. Optics allows you to look closer, like magnifying glasses and things like that. It was a absolute revolution, and I mean, it was. Whether it's the reason why it took off, I'm not sure, but probably, yeah. Afraid of the gravity problem on Mars? Mutate? Become the aliens? Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, it's slightly less on Mars, but it's not that much less. It's not that much less. Going to Mars is going to be the most expensive trip ever, so you can live in a closet way longer than you would want to while living in constant terror your equipment will fail. Yeah, I do. Yeah, absolutely. But, presumably at some point in the future, we will learn how to terraform. I hope so, at least, or else, the Earth's in trouble. But we really should be making the Earth as sustainable as possible, because we can't count on having the technology to get anywhere else, right? And this is a thing, like, I don't have a problem with investigating colonization of planets, but we've got to last long enough to make it feasible. So we really have to make the Earth sustainable, and we're just not doing that, which to me is a big problem. Lack of need fit. Yeah, absolutely. I get you. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, if you haven't liked and subscribed, why not? And it's okay. If you've got a valid reason, just drop it in chat. I will forgive you. But if you don't, how dare you? I will send my sister wife over to you. And then how will you feel? Llamas deserved from camels. Yes. Yep. Jesus rode all of them. Yes. Jesus rode a llama. I'm a believer. Isn't God always the asshole? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, I'm hoping not, because I want at least not, like, okay, so the task is to find one, God is not an asshole in the Old Testament. I know it's a stretch, but I have kind of faith. I have a hope. I have a hope that we will find it. I'm not saying we will. I have a hope that we will find where God was actually a pretty good guy who did good things. In the New Testament, we probably will. In the Old Testament, not so sure. But hey, let's find out. That's why we're here. That's why we're all here. The floodplains in eastern Washington, Idaho, and Montana. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I don't even bother to make excuses for people's fairy tale book. It's the Bible. It's not history. It's not a worldview. It's fabricated. I believe that as well. I have much more empathy for atheists as they show others, practically none. Yeah, well, this is the problem with thinking yourself a chosen people. You dehumanize other people, and that's a problem, because we know that dehumanization leads to oppression and violence against those people, which ordinarily wouldn't have happened. There's a long case to be made for this, from what the Germans did in World War II to how the Americans depicted the Japanese during World War II. We see it all throughout Europe during the medieval era. It absolutely is the beginning of oppression and in, you know, really, really bad actions towards a group is when they are started to be dehumanized. So don't dehumanize anybody. Full set of autographed Mark Twains. Oh, that's awesome. You know, Mark Twain was the Mark Twain of his generation. Did you know that? Egyptians used multi-brown and use, so it was known about when the Bible was written. Yes, but the Egyptians probably didn't share that with the Canaanites because the Abraham gave his sister wife to the Pharaoh and possibly gave him a venereal disease. I wouldn't feel like sharing my vast technological information with somebody that had lied and said that it was his sister when in fact it was his sister and wife. And maybe it wasn't an STI. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a magical plague. I know where my money's going down. Because usually a plague won't restrict itself to one's household. Just saying. The best part is that they're autographed. Look, I have an autographed book of Terry Pratchett's, like the pride of my book collection. Sorry, Kip. It's the pride of my book collection. It is a Terry Pratchett Last Continent autographed book, and that is my most valued book. Sorry, Kip. Just saying. What am I apologizing to Kip for? Kip does not write books. He has written no books. That's never not going to be funny. That's never not going to be funny. The Egyptians used more honey. Okay, well, honey's all right. Honey's better than probably what the Canaanites were using. I don't know what the Canaanites were using for wounds, but you know, I would imagine that either honey or penicillin is better. Look, it doesn't matter what the Egyptians knew about. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Right? So Prepper, Simos, it doesn't matter what they knew about because presumably God would have known about it, right? God would have known the best way to address their wounds in that time. And the fact that it's not written in the Bible and they didn't know about it is kind of telling that they weren't receiving any secret information from a God, or at least not a good God. Because a good God would have said, hey, if you break your leg, use this, or else you will die in, or, you know, in all likelihood, you will die in screaming agony. Oh yeah, no. Someday I gotta find Kip and get him to sign his book, and then that still won't be the pride of place, but it will certainly be up there. It will certainly be up there. Certainly be up there. Yeah, but we'll still all be humans, McTime. That's the thing. We'll still all be humans. It's like saying, hey, you know, like I get if speciation happens, but that doesn't happen for quite some time. You have to be generally isolated. So the thing about speciation, it doesn't occur when there's a lot of intermingling. So if you just send people off to another planet and you never intermingle again, yeah, I get it. But if you actually intermingle and have a flow of population going back and forth, then that speciation doesn't happen because you're still keeping that genetic heritage the same. And we all will still be humans no matter what. It will be Homo sapien Terran and Homo sapien Martian, right? Like we will still be Homo sapiens. We still all will be humans because evolution, you can't escape from your clade. You can't, like, we're still vertebrates. We're still primates. We're still what we always were. Oh, now I'm jealous. Okay, there's a lot of jealousy going around, not just from the Bible as well. There's a jealousy from my side as well. Wow. Yeah, I know the soap thing. I think it does mention soap somewhere, but it doesn't actually say how to make it, which is sort of, you know, the one of the things in the Old Testament is the weird priorities it has. Like, for instance, it will tell you how to, like, what the priest should wear, but it doesn't tell you about any technology of the day. And we kind of know that we kind of know that our socio-technical ability, our ability to pass technical knowledge down, is one of the most important things humans could do, which is why we write manuals and educational books. But they didn't seem to know that. And it seemed to be the case that they may have been using things that we don't even know about today because they never wrote it down. But it does show a flaw in the priorities when you're writing down, the fashion of the priests, but not how to make soap or how to make basic tools or how to implement things in the area. It sure does show their priorities, which a god would know isn't really a good way to communicate with a society further on down the road, especially after wars have happened and, turmoil has happened. There's been plagues, there's been famines, there's been all kinds of things. You really need to write down the knowledge of how to do stuff. And they didn't seem to know that, which is weird, but that's okay. That's okay. No, look, there is no such thing as fish. Fish doesn't really exist. There's sort of, lobed finned fish, and there is ray finned fish, and they're not really that related. There's no such thing as just general fish. Look, I will say we are tetrapods, okay? I will say that. But fine, take offense. Call me a devil back. That's been popular tonight. Absolutely. Call me a devil. That's been real popular tonight. I think that's been some person's favorite game tonight, is Call Me a Devil. I wonder how he knew. Was it the horns? Oh, I don't have horns. Was it the evil things of getting you to hate people? Oh, I don't do that either. Well, apparently I'm a devil. That's okay. You can say that. It doesn't worry me. I know who I am. But anyway, that brings us to a close. I'm sorry we have to call it quits. It's been 3 hours. That has flown by. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been awesome. It has been. Is God the arsehole? The consensus is yes, absolutely, and then some. I've got to do the last poll to make sure that is the case. Yeah, 76%, 3/4. There we go. Yep, that is the general consensus. And yeah, I think that sort of inflicting a famine on somebody so they've got to go down and basically sell their sister wife to a king neighbor is probably a bit of a dick move, to be honest with you. Probably a bit. And then cursing the person that didn't know about it rather than the person that lied in the first place is kind of a dick move. I've got to wonder what the Pharaoh did that was so wrong when he's like, is this your wife? No, it's my sister. Oh, I will give you gifts if you allow me to hang out with her. Sure. And then it's his fault? I'm really sorry, but I feel like the Pharaoh gets a bad rap in these books. He really does. He didn't know. So why is he the one punished? God's a dick. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been a hoot. Yeah, this was fun. Thanks, Prepper. It absolutely was. I had a blast. Especially being called a devil and a demon for reasons I have no idea about. Yeah, sure. I do live in a hot climate. I will give you that one, because I am bloody hot right now. I am sweating my ass off. So I'm going to call it, hey, be kind to yourself. Look, McTime, deconstruction's hard, man. It is hard. Don't be apologetic. Don't apologize for having certain beliefs that carry over from an indoctrination period that was a feature in your life. Don't ever, and if you need help, please ask. The atheist community, they know. And, be okay with emotions that come up. You might feel angry. You might feel sad. You might feel like, things were a waste and you might have these. That's okay. There's no wrong way to feel, and the community's here for you always. I really recommend Recovering from Religion. They do run a helpline. I haven't worked with them for a while because I just didn't have the time, but I really do recommend them. People there care. They're really, really supportive. If you do, feel free to ask. It's not a problem at all. People understand. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Be kind to each other. Deconverting people especially, it's rough. It is rough. I know it is rough because I've seen people go through it. But yes, much love. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody. Devil child!